Phaistos Disc. Have you ever held something in your hand and felt its mystery pulse beneath your fingertips? Imagine discovering a small, round clay disc, its surface imprinted with a spiral of symbols no one can read. Tonight, we'll drift through 30 of those enigmas, each one a fragment of history that refuses to surrender its story. Share in the comments where you're watching from and whether you've ever felt the pull of a true mystery. If you love quiet journeys into the unknown, tap that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell before we begin our calm exploration. That is the Phaistos Disc, unearthed in 1908 on the island of Crete. Over 100 stamped signs circle its face, each pressed into soft clay before firing. And yet, more than a century later, we still do not know who created it, what language it records, or why it was made. Picture finding this disc in your own home. You turn it over in the palm of your hand, tracing the curious shapes. A head in profile, a boat, a flower, a shield. You might think you recognize one symbol. Perhaps it looks like a leaf you saw on your morning walk, but the next sign is wholly foreign. You feel a thrill of connection to another time, and then a pang of frustration because the disc keeps its secret. You close your eyes and wonder, what message was so important that someone pressed these marks by hand, one at a time in a perfect spiral? In everyday life, we rely on writing to share our thoughts. We scribble notes before exams, text friends about weekend plans, or leave voicemails when we can't answer the phone. Words help us freeze a moment, pass along a warning, or remind someone we care. The Fistos Disc reminds us that writing can also be a mystery, an echo from the past that refuses to speak. It's as if someone left us a voicemail in a language no living person knows. We can see the shapes, feel the intention, but the meaning remains locked away. This ancient puzzle touches on deeper themes of belief and communication. We assume that writing means we can understand. Yet here is proof that symbols alone are not enough. We need context, other texts to compare, dictionaries to decode, a living tradition to guide us. Without those, the disc's spiral script floats in a sea of uncertainty. It humbles us, reminding us that our own languages, too, might one day be forgotten. What if future archaeologists find our smartphones filled with emojis and abbreviations and scratch their heads? Would they ever guess why we send thumbs-up icons or string together strings of LOL? The disc also speaks to our relationship with technology, ancient and modern. The person who pressed each symbol into clay used the leading edge of technology for their day, movable stamps arranged in patterns. Today, we tap keys on screens or speak to digital assistants. We trust that our messages will be saved, searchable, and understood. Yet the Phaistos Disc shows a different fate. What if data outlives its users and becomes undecipherable? It's a cautionary tale for the digital age, where vast archives of text and code may one day be as mysterious as this simple clay circle. On a personal level, the disc invites us to reflect on the unknowns in our own lives. We make plans, set goals, and share our stories, hoping they will be remembered. Yet so much remains unwritten, the thoughts we never voice, the moments we never record. The disc stands for all those lost messages. It urges us to cherish the act of communication and to accept that some things are meant to remain mysteries. Before we move on, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever encountered a symbol or a code you couldn't crack? Maybe a family heirloom with a faded inscription, or a local landmark with strange carvings. Share your experiences and where you're watching from in the comments below. If the Phaistos Disc fascinates you, tap the like button and subscribe for more journeys into history's unsolved puzzles. As you settle in tonight, imagine the ancient artisan in Crete, pressing those tiny stamps into clay. Picture the careful spiral, the soft clay yielding under each mark, and the pride in their work. Then imagine the disc's long journey. Lost in time, buried beneath ruins, and finally revealed to the world. It rests now between our fingers and our dreams, a whisper from the past that invites us to wonder. Sleep well, and let that mystery linger in your thoughts. Göbekli Tepe. What if the world's oldest temple was buried for thousands of years, right under a farmer's feet? Imagine walking across a quiet hill in Turkey, with nothing but dry grass around you, unaware that beneath your boots lies a structure, older than the pyramids, older even than Stonehenge. That hill is called Göbekli Tepe. And what rests beneath it still shakes everything we thought we knew about the beginning of civilization. In the 1990s, when archaeologists began digging here, they did not expect to find giant carved stones, but as the soil was cleared, huge T-shaped pillars appeared. They stood in circles, some over 16 feet tall, weighing tons. These weren't just stones. They had been shaped by human hands, decorated with carvings of animals, lions, snakes, birds, scorpions. Some even had arms and hands, suggesting they were meant to represent people. But here's the part that continues to puzzle experts. These pillars were made 11,000 years ago. That's before metal tools, before farming, before writing. You might be sitting there thinking, how is that possible? How could people who still hunted with spears lift and shape stones so large and so precise? Even in our modern lives, when we move furniture, it takes planning, strength, and help. Now imagine trying to move a stone that weighs more than a car, with no machines, no wheels, no cranes. Somehow they did it. And they did it again and again, arranging the stones in complex patterns, layer by layer. Maybe you've struggled with building something, an essay for school, a relationship, a life plan. And just when you think it's finally coming together, you realize there's a deeper layer, a new question. Göbekli Tepe is just like that. For every question it answers, more appear. Who built it? Why did they build it? And how did they know how to do it? This site rewrites the story of humanity. For a long time, people believed that once humans started farming, they had time to build temples and cities. But Göbekli Tepe suggests the opposite might be true, that spiritual or social gatherings came first. Maybe it was the desire to meet, to connect, to worship or share stories that led people to settle down and start growing food. If that's the case, it changes how we see the human story. It means belief came before bread. Think about how powerful that is. Even today, we gather to feel close to something bigger than ourselves. At concerts, places of worship, or even during deep conversations late at night, we look for meaning. Göbekli Tepe shows that this need, this human urge to gather and wonder, goes back farther than we ever imagined. As you listen to this, you might wonder, what other things lie buried in plain sight, not just in the earth, but in history, or even inside ourselves? How many stories have we covered up, forgotten, or misunderstood? How many beliefs have shaped our actions without us even realizing it? There's also something deeply personal about a place like Göbekli Tepe. The people who built it are gone. Their language is lost. Their names are unknown, but their hands left marks. They carved animals they knew, arranged stones with care, and faced them toward the center, as if something important once stood in the middle. Maybe a fire. Maybe a voice. Maybe silence. We can't ask them why they built it. But we can ask ourselves, what do we build? What do we hope people thousands of years from now will remember about us? Our buildings, our books, even our digital footprints, they all say something about what we value. At Göbekli Tepe, the message may have been something simple but powerful. We were here, we believed, we gathered. If you've ever been to an ancient site, or even walked through a quiet forest and felt something stir in your chest, a kind of deep remembering, you're not alone. That feeling connects us to the people who came before, the ones who moved stone with only their strength and their hope. Before we go further, I'd love to hear where you're watching from. Have you ever visited a place that made you feel small or timeless or both? Share your story in the comments. And if you're enjoying these quiet mysteries, please like this video and subscribe. It helps this calm corner of the internet grow. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine standing in the center of Göbekli Tepe. The stars stretch across the sky. The air is still. Around you, the pillars rise like silent watchers, You place your hand on one stone and feel its cool surface. No one speaks, but you don't need words. You understand something very old. That wonder and sleep both begin with stillness. Let that feeling guide you now, as you drift away. Yonaguni Monument. What if an entire city was hiding beneath the waves, just waiting to be found? Not lost in a storm, not swallowed in one night, but quietly resting under the sea for thousands of years, and no one can agree whether it's natural or man-made. Off the coast of Japan, near a small island called Yonaguni, divers discovered something strange in the 1980s. Deep underwater, around 80 feet below the surface, lies a set of giant stone formations. But these stones aren't just random or broken. They appear to be steps, platforms, terraces, and even roads. Huge flat surfaces meet sharp, clean angles. Some rocks look like they've been cut. Some look like stairs. There are corners that feel too perfect for nature alone. At first glance, you might think it looks like an ancient pyramid or a sunken palace, but then doubt creeps in. Could the ocean, over time, have carved these shapes? Could wind, waves, and pressure turn stone into something that mimics architecture? Scientists, divers, and historians still argue about that to this day. Imagine swimming through clear blue water, then suddenly finding yourself face to face with a stone staircase that leads nowhere. No signs, no markings, just layers of perfectly aligned stone descending into silence. It feels eerie, almost like you're walking through the remains of a forgotten dream. This mystery becomes even more interesting when you think about what we know and what we don't. Some experts believe the Yonaguni Monument could be over 10,000 years old. That's before most known civilizations. If that's true, who built it? And why did it sink? It makes you wonder what else could be hiding beneath our oceans. After all, more than 80% of the ocean remains unexplored. That's like having a house with 5 rooms, but you've only opened one. Who knows what the other 4 might hold? Have you ever felt like you were on the edge of discovering something, only to be unsure if it was real or just your mind playing tricks? Maybe you've misread a text from a friend, or walked into a room and felt like something happened there just before you arrived. The Yonaguni Monument gives that same kind of feeling, like the truth is close, but just out of reach. For those who believe it's man-made, they point to the way the stones are shaped. Some claim to see a large face carved into the rock like a forgotten statue. Others think it resembles a giant altar or a ceremonial site. They say no natural process could produce so many clean lines, flat surfaces, and rectangular shapes. They suggest it might be the ruins of a civilization lost to rising seas, like a real-life Atlantis. But geologists push back. They say the rocks are sandstone, a type that breaks naturally into straight lines and blocks. They explain that tectonic activity, like earthquakes and shifting plates, can crack and shape rock in strange ways. What looks like steps or walls might just be nature doing what it's always done. And so the debate continues. Is it a city built by human hands or a beautiful accident of nature? No one knows for sure, and maybe that's what makes it so powerful. Think for a moment about how we react to the unknown. When something doesn't make sense, whether it's a monument, a moment in life, or even a dream, we often rush to explain it. But sometimes it's okay to sit with the mystery, to let it be what it is, even if we don't understand. Yonaguni reminds us of that. It asks us to slow down and wonder instead of rushing to solve. In a world where everything is searched, scanned, and labeled, a little mystery can be soothing. It lets the imagination breathe. Now imagine this. You're underwater, floating gently as the ocean sways around you. Below, the monument rises like a forgotten memory, solid and silent. You run your fingers across the stone. It's smooth, but ancient. The water hums with stillness. No answers come, only a soft feeling that someone, or something, was once here. Maybe they still are. If you've ever had a moment where the line between dream and reality felt blurry, you're not alone. Share where you're watching from, or tell us about a place that made you feel that same quiet curiosity. And if this video brought you a sense of peace or wonder, please like it. leave a comment, and subscribe. It helps keep this space gentle and growing. As you drift off tonight, let your mind sink into the quiet depths. Let questions float like bubbles, light and slow. Not everything needs to be solved. Some things are meant to be felt. Let the waves of mystery rock you to sleep, gently and endlessly. Moai statues. What if one morning you walked out into your backyard and found a stone face towering above you? Not just a sculpture, but a silent guardian with blank eyes staring across centuries. Now imagine there are hundreds of them, lined up, watching, half buried in the earth. That's Easter Island, and that's the mystery of the Moai. Have you ever visited a place that made you feel small, not just in size, but in time? If you have, tell us about it in the comments. Let's see where this curiosity takes us tonight. The island lies deep in the Pacific Ocean, far from any busy city or loud machine, and scattered across it are nearly 1,000 of these Moai statues. Most people know them as giant heads, but if you were to dig deeper, literally, you'd find they aren't just heads at all. Beneath the soil, their full stone bodies are hidden. Carved hands rest on long torsos. Some are as tall as a 4-story building. Others weigh as much as a small airplane. They're all made from volcanic rock. Quiet, heavy, still. But here's what makes the mystery strange enough to follow you into your dreams. The islanders who built them, the Rapa Nui, had no cranes, no metal tools, no wheels, nothing we'd call advanced. And yet, they moved these giants miles from the quarry into the coast, up hills, across uneven ground, through forests that have long disappeared. How? That single question still stirs debates across scientific circles. Some believe the statues were walked using ropes, rocking them side to side like a fridge, being moved by 3 friends. Others argue they were slid on wooden sleds. But then the trees. Where did they go? The island is mostly bare now. Were the trees cut down for moving statues? Or did the climate shift? Was it human error? Or nature's plan? The mystery only deepens. Now imagine you're one of those islanders. Maybe you were a child, watching your elders chant and pull ropes under the hot sun. Dust in your eyes. Statues rising like gods from the earth. And one day that statue tips slightly, and everyone gasps, but it doesn't fall. It takes another step, rocking forward, as if it wanted to move. That moment, silent, sacred, is lost to time. But sometimes, when we lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, our minds do something strange. They replay events we've never seen. They imagine other lives, past lives maybe, forgotten rituals, ancient hands pressing tools to stone. It's in that quiet space between history and dream that the Moai seem to live. They aren't just sculptures. They're memory, markers, symbols of belief, loss, hope. Some believe the Moai were built to honor ancestors, to stand as spiritual protectors. Others think they marked land, or perhaps carried the presence of the divine. Their blank faces don't answer. They only stare. And strangely, that makes them feel more alive. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something was watching you? That hush in the air, when nothing moves but something feels present. That's what people describe when they stand near the Moai. The weight of silence, the press of time, the sense that someone once cared enough to move the sky for stone. Many of the statues face inland, not toward the ocean, but toward the villages, as if watching over the people. Only a few face the sea, on a platform known as Ahuakivi. Why? No one really knows. The choices seem deliberate, spiritual, personal. That's what makes this mystery so human. We want to believe things have meaning, that effort matters, that creating something out of stone, even if no one remembers why, still echoes with purpose. And there's something comforting about that, isn't there? Sometimes, when life feels too fast, we long for something ancient, something that doesn't need a screen or a password. The Moai give us that. Stillness, wonder, questions with no answers. And that's exactly the kind of mystery that helps us drift. Because the mind doesn't always need solutions. Sometimes it needs puzzles. Open loops, stories carved in silence. So tonight, as you close your eyes, picture those statues, lined along the shore, tall and calm, bathed in moonlight, waves crashing nearby, a breeze passing through empty sockets, and you standing quietly among them, just listening to time, to stone, to sleep. If you've ever felt the mystery of a place like that, share it in the comments. And if you're still here, gently like this video, maybe subscribe, and let your thoughts wander with us again next time. You're safe now. You're not alone. You're part of a story much older than sleep. Ready for the next mystery? Stone spheres. Imagine walking through a quiet rainforest, green leaves glistening with morning dew, birds calling out softly from somewhere above. Then suddenly, in the middle of this calm and untouched place, you find a perfect stone sphere, smooth, round, as tall as your chest, and you're not just looking at one. There are dozens, scattered across the land, some tucked into the hillsides, some resting beside riverbanks. All of them are silent, all of them still. It almost feels like they're watching you, even though they have no eyes. These are the Diki spheres, or as many call them, the stone balls of Costa Rica, carved from hard, heavy rock, some weighing over 15 tons, some small enough to fit in your arms, others are too massive to move without modern cranes. But these weren't made in a factory. They weren't even created during recorded history. These spheres were shaped hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 years ago, and yet somehow they are nearly perfect in shape, almost as if someone had drawn a circle in the air and then pulled it into the real world. Now, here's where it gets strange. No one knows why they were made. There's no writing on them, no decoration, no clues carved into their smooth, gray surfaces, just perfect silence. And even more confusing, no one knows how the ancient people moved them. They didn't have wheels. They didn't use iron. There were no pulleys or cranes or maps showing how it was done. Just people. And stones, heavy stones. Still, these spheres were moved through jungles, across rivers, and placed into exact positions across the land. Some say they were arranged to follow the stars. Others believe they marked the homes of powerful chiefs. A few have guessed they were used to map the seasons, the sun, or even the shape of the universe. But none of that has ever been proven, and over time, as new homes were built and forests were cleared, many of the spheres were moved from their original places. Some were even taken as garden decorations. Others broke apart in the hope of finding gold inside. But inside, there was nothing, just rock, solid, cold, and quiet. It makes you wonder, what would make someone carve something so beautiful, but leave no message? Have you ever done something just because it felt right? Maybe you painted a picture that made no sense to others, or built something just because it brought you peace. That's what these spheres feel like. They seem to hold purpose, even if no one can say exactly what that purpose was. Maybe they weren't meant to be solved. Maybe their silence was part of the message. And when you think about it, we often look for answers in the wrong places. We dig and test and measure, and still mystery remains, like trying to explain why we dream, or why we forget things we thought we'd remember forever. There's something powerful about not knowing, something calming even, because in not knowing, we give ourselves permission to wonder. That's what makes the stone spheres so special. They're not just archaeological objects, they're questions made solid. They're reminders that the world is full of things we can touch, but never fully understand. And in the soft darkness of the night, when your room is quiet and your thoughts are slowly settling, maybe the idea of those ancient, silent stones resting peacefully beneath the trees can comfort you too. Because not everything needs to be figured out right away. Not everything needs an answer. Sometimes it's enough just to be still. If you've ever seen something that made you feel quietly amazed, like an old tree or an empty street in the rain, share it in the comments. Or tell us where you're listening from. It helps remind us how connected we all are, even in the calmest moments. And if this story helped you relax, or made you curious in a gentle way, consider liking this video or subscribing for more peaceful stories from history. There are many more mysteries to come. But for now, let's rest with this. 1. A smooth, silent sphere, deep in the heart of the forest, waiting. Balbeck megaliths. Imagine standing before a massive structure, built long before modern cranes and machines. In Lebanon, there lies a mystery that has intrigued historians, archaeologists, and even the general public. The Balbeck megaliths, enormous, stones weighing hundreds of tons, are part of a complex so grand it feels like it belongs in another world. But the question remains, how were these stones transported, lifted and precisely placed with such skill? The techniques used by the builders of Balbeck are still a mystery, and no matter how much we study the site, we still can't fully explain it. The site at Balbeck, located in the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, has been home to some of the largest stones ever carved and moved by humans. The largest of these stones, known as the Trilithon, includes 3 blocks weighing up to 800 tons each. To put this into perspective, imagine the weight of a modern-day cruise ship or a fully loaded jumbo jet. The sheer size of these stones is enough to make anyone wonder how they could possibly have been moved or positioned using the primitive tools available at the time. It's not just the size of the stones that's puzzling, but also their placement. The stones at Balbeck are perfectly aligned, their surfaces smoothed with precision that suggests an advanced knowledge of engineering and craftsmanship. Even today, thousands of years later, people marvel at the accuracy with which these stones were placed. No cranes or machinery that we know of from ancient history could have handled such heavy loads. Some have even suggested that the technology or methods used by the builders of Balbeck may have been far beyond what we understand from ancient civilizations. As you sit back and think about this, it's easy to see why this mystery has sparked so much debate. Some believe the answers lie in the ingenuity of ancient humans. Perhaps, they say, the people of Balbeck had methods or tools that have long since been forgotten. Others, however, entertain more fantastical theories. Could these stones have been moved by methods we simply can't imagine? Or, even more intriguing, was there external help involved? Could the builders of Balbeck have had assistance from something or someone beyond their time, like advanced knowledge or even aliens? Despite the many theories, no one has come up with a definitive answer. The Balbeck megaliths remain a testament to something that, for now, eludes our understanding. And as much as we try to piece together the puzzle, the stones themselves continue to stand tall, almost daring us to find the answers. Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine trying to move a stone as large as a car, much less one as heavy as a building. Now consider how such an achievement must have felt to those who created it. Were they as awed by their own abilities as we are now, thousands of years later? It's a thought that adds an extra layer of mystery to the already fascinating site. And as you think about the mystery of the Balbeck megaliths, take a deep breath and allow your mind to drift into the same quiet wonder that these ancient stones inspire. Just like the mysteries of the world that we can't always explain, sometimes there is beauty in simply acknowledging that some things might remain beyond our understanding. As you continue to reflect on the Balbeck megaliths, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever visited this extraordinary place, or have you explored other ancient wonders that still baffle modern science? Share your thoughts and experiences with us in the comments below. We always appreciate hearing your stories and reflections. Remember, sometimes it's not always about having all the answers, but about embracing the wonder and curiosity that comes with exploring the unknown. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mystery of the Balbeck megaliths, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There's so much more to discover, and we'll continue exploring these ancient mysteries together. Nazca Lines. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast desert, surrounded by endless stretches of sand. As you look down, all you see is dust and earth, yet up above, something extraordinary is taking shape. Strange, enormous drawings appear, stretching across the land like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Birds, spiders, geometric patterns. These incredible figures are only visible from the sky. But the real mystery is why they were created in the first place. Who carved these massive shapes into the earth? And why would they create something that no one could see? The Nazca Lines, located in the desert of southern Peru, are one of the most fascinating and puzzling ancient creations in the world. These massive geoglyphs, some stretching over 1,000 feet in length, cover a vast area. But there is one thing that stands out. They can only be fully appreciated when viewed from the air. When standing on the ground, they appear as little more than shallow lines drawn into the earth. But from an aerial view, the true size and scale of these drawings are revealed. The shapes are so precise that it's almost impossible to understand how they were created with such accuracy thousands of years ago without modern technology. It's hard to imagine the mindset of the people who made these incredible designs. What were they thinking as they spent hours or even days carving these figures into the desert floor? Were they trying to send a message to the gods, or were they simply celebrating their connection to the natural world? Whatever their reasons, the people of Nazca clearly had a deep understanding of their environment and an extraordinary sense of purpose. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Nazca Lines is the sheer scale of the project. Some of these drawings are so large that it's hard to fathom how they were created with such precision, especially given the tools that would have been available at the time. The lines are made by removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles from the desert floor to reveal the lighter-colored earth beneath. The figures range from simple geometric shapes like triangles and spirals to more complex depictions of animals and plants, including a hummingbird, a monkey, and even a whale. But the biggest mystery is, of course, why? Why create something so monumental when it could not be seen by anyone on the ground? Why go to such great lengths to make sure these figures could only be appreciated from above? Some theories suggest that the lines were created for religious or ceremonial purposes. Perhaps they were offerings to the gods, designed to attract favorable weather or to communicate with higher powers. Others believe that the lines may have had astronomical significance, acting as a kind of ancient calendar or map that helped the Nazca people align themselves with celestial events. There are even more speculative ideas about the purpose of the Nazca Lines. Some suggest that the lines were created for extraterrestrial beings, pointing to the idea that the designs were meant to be seen by visitors from the sky or space. While this theory may sound outlandish, it captures the imagination because it presents the Nazca Lines as part of a much larger, unknown mystery. Could these ancient people have had contact with beings from other worlds, or is the idea simply an expression of our own curiosity about the unknown? As you ponder the mystery of the Nazca Lines, consider the broader implications of their existence. These massive drawings are not just an archaeological puzzle. They also challenge our ideas about human creativity, communication, and connection. They raise questions about the ways in which we express meaning and the lengths we are willing to go to in order to leave a mark on the world. In today's world, we create with technology, social media, and digital platforms, but the people of Nazca carved their legacy into the very earth itself. What is it about these ancient figures that still captivate our imaginations? Is it the mystery of their creation? Or is it the way they make us question the limits of human ingenuity? They speak to something deep within us, the desire to leave something behind that will be remembered, something that speaks to future generations. In a way, the Nazca Lines are not just a testament to the people who created them, but also a reminder of our own need to understand and make sense of the world around us. Perhaps this is why the Nazca Lines continue to fascinate us to this day. They represent a bridge between the ancient past and our present-day curiosity. They remind us that no matter how much we learn or how much we grow, there will always be mysteries that remain unsolved. There are moments when we must simply accept that not everything has an answer, and that's okay. sometimes the beauty lies in the question itself. As you reflect on the Nazca Lines, it's worth considering your own experiences with mystery and discovery. Have you ever found yourself drawn to something that you couldn't fully understand, something that left you wondering about the bigger picture? It could be anything: a dream, a piece of art, a personal experience. Whatever it is, think about how that feeling connects you to the same curiosity that the Nazca people must have felt as they created their lines. It's a shared human experience, a desire to understand, to create, and to leave something behind. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the Nazca Lines. Have you visited the site or studied the history behind it? What do you think the lines were meant to represent? Share your thoughts and experiences with us in the comments below. Your perspectives help us create a community of curious minds who are eager to explore the mysteries of our world together. If you enjoyed this exploration of the Nazca Lines and the questions they raise, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There's much more to uncover, and we'll continue delving into the fascinating mysteries of history, one story at a time. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. Great Zimbabwe. Imagine walking through a city built entirely of stone, its towering walls constructed without a single drop of mortar. The stones fit together so perfectly that they have stood the test of time for centuries. This is Great Zimbabwe, a vast stone city in southeastern Africa that once thrived with life, trade, and culture. Yet today, it stands silent, its builders long gone, leaving behind only the echoes of their achievements. Great Zimbabwe was the capital of the Kingdom of Zimbabwe during the Late Iron Age, flourishing between the 11th and 15th centuries. The city spanned over 7 square kilometers and housed an estimated 10,000 to 20,000 people at its peak. Its most remarkable feature is the Great Enclosure, a massive stone structure with walls reaching up to 11 meters in height, built entirely without mortar. The precision of the stonework is so meticulous that the walls have remained standing for centuries, a testament to the ingenuity of its builders. The construction of Great Zimbabwe is a marvel of engineering. The builders used locally sourced granite, carefully cutting and placing each stone to create stable, enduring walls. The dry stone masonry technique they employed required not only skill but also a deep understanding of materials and structural integrity. This method allowed the structures to withstand the elements and the passage of time, showcasing the advanced architectural knowledge of the civilization. Artifacts found at the site, including pottery, iron tools, and gold ornaments, indicate that Great Zimbabwe was a hub of trade and craftsmanship. The city's strategic location facilitated trade routes that connected it to the East African coast and beyond, allowing for the exchange of goods and ideas. This vibrant trade network contributed to the city's prosperity and cultural richness. Despite its grandeur, Great Zimbabwe was eventually abandoned in the 15th century. The reasons for this remain unclear, with theories ranging from environmental changes to shifts in trade routes. The silence that now envelops the ruins adds to the mystery, inviting contemplation about the rise and fall of civilizations. The story of Great Zimbabwe challenges preconceived notions about African history and architecture. For a long time, the origins of the city were misattributed to foreign civilizations, reflecting biases that underestimated the capabilities of African societies. However, archaeological evidence has firmly established that the city was built by the ancestors of the Shona people, highlighting the rich and complex history of the region. As you reflect on the silent stones of Great Zimbabwe, consider the broader implications of its story. It serves as a reminder of the impermanence of human achievements and the enduring legacy of cultural heritage. The city's ruins stand as a testament to human creativity, resilience, and the desire to leave a mark on the world. Have you ever visited a place that left you in awe, prompting questions about the people who once lived there? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue exploring the mysteries of our world together, one story at a time. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the silent stones of Great Zimbabwe. If you found this exploration intriguing, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that delve into the wonders of our past. Coral Castle. Imagine building a castle with your own 2 hands. No help, no cranes, and no machines. Just you, alone, moving stones that weigh as much as a truck. Sounds impossible, right? But one man did just that, and not hundreds of years ago. This happened in the 1900s. In sunny Florida, a quiet man named Edward built something so strange, so heavy, and so mysterious that to this day, no one can fully explain how he did it. He called it Coral Castle, but it's not made of coral from the sea. It's carved from giant blocks of limestone, and not just small blocks. Some of the pieces weigh more than 9 tons. That's like trying to lift several elephants at once. But Edward was only about 5 feet tall and barely weighed 100 pounds. He didn't have a team of workers, and he never used large construction tools. Neighbors would walk by and hear him tapping away with basic hand tools, but when they came back later, somehow, huge stones had been lifted and placed perfectly into walls, doorways, and even furniture. But no one ever saw how he did it. It's the kind of mystery that makes you stop and wonder. Have you ever tried to move furniture alone? A couch, a fridge, even a full bucket of water. You know how heavy things can be. Now imagine moving something so massive that modern cranes would struggle with it, and doing it with homemade tools in the middle of the night. That's exactly what Edward did. People started to call it Florida's Stonehenge. And just like the original Stonehenge, the Coral Castle draws in visitors and questions. Why did he do it? How did he do it? Some say he found a way to tap into forces we don't understand, like magnetism or gravity itself. Others think he just had an incredible understanding of balance and leverage, the kind of knowledge lost to time. But when reporters asked him directly, Edward only smiled and said, "I have discovered the secrets of the pyramids." That one sentence opened up even more questions. Did he really know something that ancient builders knew? Did he unlock some hidden truth about how the pyramids of Egypt or the temples of Peru were made? Or was it just a clever way to keep people curious, to protect his methods, and keep the mystery alive? There's a strange comfort in mysteries like this. They remind us that not everything in life needs to be explained right away. Sometimes, the unknown can be peaceful, like watching the stars and not knowing how far they go, or hearing a familiar song and not remembering where you first heard it. The Coral Castle feels like that. A quiet puzzle carved into stone, whispering questions instead of shouting answers. And what's even more interesting is why Edward built it at all. He said it was for someone he loved, a woman he was going to marry, but the wedding never happened. Some say he built the castle for her, like a gift frozen in time, a monument to a love that never got its ending. That idea alone adds a soft sadness to the stones. They aren't just heavy, they're full of emotion. They're not just walls, they're memories shaped by hand. Have you ever built something for someone you cared about? Maybe a letter, a song, or even just a simple gesture? You know that feeling of pouring emotion into a quiet act. Coral Castle feels like that on a much larger scale. It's a place where feelings are made solid, and perhaps that's what makes it so powerful. Visitors today can still walk through it. They see the stone gate that moves perfectly with a touch of a finger. They sit on the stone chairs, shaped like hearts, and they feel the weight of it. Not just the physical weight, but the emotional one. It's a strange mix of love, loss, and mystery, wrapped up in one silent sculpture garden. We often think of mystery as something far away or long ago, but sometimes it's closer than we think. Sometimes a man with no money, no machines, and a broken heart can create something the world still can't explain. And that feels deeply human. It reminds us that each of us carries a little mystery inside. We all have things we've built, out of emotion, moments no one else truly saw, dreams we carried quietly, work we did when no one was watching. Coral Castle is like that. It's not just stones stacked together, it's a person's private world made visible. So tonight, as you let your thoughts drift, imagine Edward in the moonlight, shaping stone alone, with only his hands and a quiet purpose. No spotlight, no audience, just him and the rock. Maybe you'll dream of what secrets he knew. Or maybe you'll remember the quiet things you've built in your own life, the invisible work that still holds meaning. And if you've ever visited Coral Castle or even just passed by a place that left you with questions, feel free to share it in the comments. We'd love to hear where in the world mystery touched you. Don't forget to like this video if these quiet wonders speak to you. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so we can continue uncovering more stories that keep the wonder alive. Oak Island. Imagine digging into the earth, expecting to find something valuable, but instead you uncover more questions than answers. That's the story of Oak Island, a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. For over 2 centuries, people have been captivated by the mystery of what's hidden beneath its surface. It all began in the late 1700s, when a young man noticed a depression in the ground and some unusual markings on a tree. Curious, he and his friends started digging. They found layers of logs at regular intervals, suggesting that someone had intentionally buried something deep underground. Excitement grew as they imagined hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Over the years, many have tried to solve the mystery. They've dug deep shafts, built tunnels, and used various tools, but each attempt seems to lead to more confusion. Some shafts have flooded unexpectedly, and others have collapsed, making the search dangerous. Despite these challenges, the allure of uncovering a hidden treasure keeps people coming back. Theories abound about what's buried on Oak Island. Some believe it's pirate treasure, while others think it could be ancient artifacts or even religious relics. The lack of concrete evidence hasn't deterred treasure hunters. Instead, it has fueled their determination. What's fascinating is how this mystery has persisted for so long. In our daily lives, we often seek clear answers and quick solutions. But Oak Island reminds us that some questions remain unanswered, and that's okay. It's a testament to human curiosity and the desire to explore the unknown. Have you ever encountered a mystery in your life that you couldn't solve? Maybe it was a puzzling event, a dream you couldn't interpret, or a question that lingered in your mind. These experiences, while sometimes frustrating, also add depth to our lives. They encourage us to think, to wonder, and to keep searching. Oak Island's story is a reminder that not all mysteries need to be solved to be meaningful. Sometimes, the journey of exploration, the stories we create, and the connections we make along the way are more valuable than the treasure itself. As you reflect on this tale, consider the mysteries in your own life. Embrace them, explore them, and appreciate the sense of wonder they bring. And if you ever find yourself near Nova Scotia, perhaps take a moment to visit Oak Island and feel the intrigue that has captivated so many for generations. Turin Shroud. Imagine looking at an old piece of cloth and seeing a face staring back. Not drawn, not painted, just there, faint, quiet, like a shadow resting on linen, a face that has sparked centuries of wonder. Some believe it belonged to a man who changed the world. Others say it's just an accident of time and dust, but the image remains, and somehow the mystery feels personal, like something hidden in plain sight, yet forever just out of reach. Have you ever found something old and forgotten? Maybe a photo, a note, or a faded shirt that made you pause? That pulled you back into a feeling, a moment, or a story. That's what the Turin Shroud does, but on a far bigger scale. It's just a piece of cloth, folded and kept for years in a quiet cathedral in Italy. But when people look at it, they see more than just fabric. They see questions, big ones. The cloth shows a faint outline of a man, front and back, as if someone had laid the fabric gently over a body, and somehow the shape stayed. You can see the face, the hands, the long arms. There are marks that look like wounds. Others think they're just folds or stains, but the more people stare, the more they wonder. How did the image get there? Who was this person? And why does this simple piece of linen feel so heavy with meaning? Scientists have looked at it a lot. They've used lights, scans, tests, and arguments. Some say it's very old, maybe 2,000 years. Others say no, it's from the Middle Ages. Some believe it was made on purpose, a careful trick. Others think it was an accident, maybe even something nature made by itself, but no one can agree. The image isn't drawn, painted, or printed, it's just lightly burned into the cloth, in a way no one can copy, even today. And maybe that's the strangest part. In a world where we can build skyscrapers, explore space, and create machines that think, we still don't know how this quiet image came to be. Isn't that odd? That something so soft and simple, a piece of cloth, can puzzle the sharpest minds? It makes you wonder what else we've missed in our rush to explain everything. What other mysteries are sitting quietly, just waiting to be noticed? Think of how we leave behind little signs of ourselves: a fingerprint on glass, a shoe print in mud, a message on a fogged-up mirror. We do these things without meaning to, just by living. Could the image on the shroud be something like that? A trace left by someone who never meant to be remembered this way, but somehow was? Or was it something more? A sign meant to last, not just for years, but for ages. People visit the shroud to feel closer to something, or someone, even if they don't know exactly what. They stand quietly, looking at it behind glass. Some pray, some cry, some just stare, not knowing what to think, only that they feel something. And maybe that's enough. Maybe we don't need to explain every mystery. Maybe some things are meant to be felt, not solved. It's like walking through fog. You can't see everything clearly, but that doesn't mean nothing's there. You move slowly, carefully, trusting that the path still exists, even when it's hidden. The Turin Shroud is like that, a soft fog of linen and light, inviting us not to understand, but to wonder. And in today's world, where everything moves fast, and answers are just a click away, that kind of wonder is rare. We like quick facts, fast news, easy stories. But the shroud doesn't offer that. It doesn't explain itself. It just lies there, quiet and still, letting us ask all the questions we want, and giving back only silence. Have you ever looked at someone and wondered what they were thinking, but didn't ask? Not because you didn't care, but because sometimes mystery feels more real than words. The Turin Shroud feels like that. A face from long ago, caught in fabric, not speaking, just being. And what if the point isn't the answer? What if the value is in the pause it gives us, in the space between knowing and not knowing? A space where belief and doubt can sit side by side without fighting, where science and spirit take a breath and simply notice something beautiful. Maybe that's what makes the shroud powerful. Not proof, not certainty, but the way it gently asks us to slow down, to look deeper, to be okay with not knowing. Because not everything has to be solved. Some things are meant to be held gently, like a fragile memory, or a secret passed down quietly through time. So if you ever find yourself in a moment of stillness, where you feel something old or strange or hard to explain, remember the shroud. Remember that some mysteries live not to confuse us, but to connect us to something bigger, quieter, and older than we can imagine. And if you've ever seen something that made you feel that way, a place, an object, a dream, tell us about it. Where were you? What did it make you feel? Your story, like the shroud, might carry more meaning than you think. Baghdad Battery. Imagine walking through the ancient ruins of a city, its dusty streets echoing with whispers of a time long gone. You find yourself in a forgotten corner, stumbling upon a strange artifact, something that feels out of place in its surroundings. It's a clay jar, simple in design, yet there's something about it that catches your eye. Inside, there's a metal rod, seemingly crafted with precision. Could it be that the ancient people of Mesopotamia understood the mysteries of electricity long before it became a part of our everyday lives? It's a question that has puzzled many, and the more you think about it, the more intriguing it becomes. How did they possibly know? Or perhaps, was it just a coincidence, a random arrangement of materials with no deeper meaning? There's a sense of wonder that arises when we encounter such artifacts, especially when they challenge our understanding of history. We often believe that technological advancements are products of recent times, a byproduct of our modern world. But what if the ancients were capable of far more than we give them credit for? As you imagine holding that clay jar in your hands, it's easy to feel the pull of curiosity, wondering what secrets it might hold. But the truth is, we may never fully know. Yet the mystery remains, sparking deep questions about the way we view the past, the present, and even our future. Let's take a moment to picture this. Have you ever tried to make a simple battery at home? It's a fun and easy experiment, right? All you need is a lemon, a couple of nails, and some copper wire. When you insert the nails into the lemon and connect the wires, you create a small electrical current. It's a process that even a child can understand. But what if the people of ancient Mesopotamia did something similar, though with a far more advanced understanding of materials? What if the clay jars discovered near Baghdad were more than just storage vessels, but ancient batteries, capable of producing a small electrical charge? The idea is not as far-fetched as it may seem. The artifact, known as the Baghdad Battery, was discovered in the 1930s, and it has sparked countless debates. Some believe it could have been a simple galvanic cell, a basic type of battery which uses chemical reactions to generate electricity. At first glance, it's hard to imagine the people of Mesopotamia understanding such advanced concepts. After all, electricity wasn't harnessed by humans until centuries later, with the discoveries of figures like Benjamin Franklin and Nikola Tesla. Yet when we step back and reflect on how much knowledge was passed down over generations, it's not entirely out of the question. Let's slow down for a moment. The Mesopotamians were not primitive. They were sophisticated in their own right, building vast cities, creating intricate art, and developing early systems of writing. Their understanding of the world was complex, even though their tools were simple. So it isn't so surprising to think that they may have understood the principles of electricity, even if only in a basic form. The idea of electricity may have been entirely foreign to them, yet the concept of energy transfer, of harnessing the natural world, could very well have been within their grasp. Now picture this. You're holding a modern-day light bulb. It's a small glass object, but inside it carries a world of knowledge and innovation. You've seen it light up countless times, but what if I told you that it's not much different from the ancient knowledge that the Mesopotamians might have stumbled upon? It's a simple form of energy, harnessed in ways that have transformed our world. The key, however, is not in the complexity of the object, but in the simple idea that energy can be created and stored. Whether it was a clay jar or a shiny light bulb, the principle remains the same: harnessing energy. In our daily lives, we often overlook the power of small things. Think about your phone, your computer, or even the clock on the wall. Each of these objects relies on electricity to function. Yet we rarely stop to think about how the basic idea of energy has shaped our world. It's easy to take these things for granted, but when you stop and consider how far we've come, it's nothing short of extraordinary. Just like the Baghdad Battery, these advancements didn't appear overnight. They were built on generations of curiosity, experimentation, and discovery. But let's take this thought even further. What does this say about human curiosity, about our drive to understand the world around us? The concept of the Baghdad Battery invites us to think about how knowledge is passed down, or sometimes lost. Could it be that there are ideas and technologies that were once known, only to be forgotten over time? If the ancient Mesopotamians did have knowledge of electricity, is it possible that other lost civilizations possessed even more advanced ideas? And how often do we, in our modern world, overlook knowledge that may seem unimportant or insignificant in the rush to discover the next big thing? The more we explore these ancient mysteries, the more we realize how much we still don't know. It's as though we're caught in a paradox, a constant loop where the more we learn, the more we realize there's so much left to uncover. The Baghdad Battery is just one example of this larger truth, a small artifact that could hold the key to unlocking an understanding of human history that we may never fully grasp. This paradox speaks to something deeper within us. It's easy to get lost in the details, to focus on the how and the why of these discoveries. But perhaps the real lesson is about the way we approach knowledge itself. We often think of history as a straight line, with clear steps from one discovery to the next. But maybe, just maybe, it's more like a web, full of twists and turns, hidden connections, and forgotten paths, and the Baghdad Battery and its quiet, mysterious existence might just be one of those forgotten paths, an invitation to think differently, to challenge what we know, and to explore the untold stories of our past. I'm curious, what do you think about these kinds of mysteries? Have you ever encountered something in your own life that made you question what you thought you knew? It might be something simple, like a strange coincidence, or a moment of deep insight that seemed to come out of nowhere. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can all explore these questions together, where the mysteries of the past can spark the curiosity of the future. After all, every question we ask today could lead us to a deeper understanding of the world tomorrow. The Baghdad Battery, whether it was truly a source of ancient electricity or not, serves as a reminder of how much we still don't understand about the past. It challenges us to think outside the box, to consider the possibility that our ancestors knew more than we give them credit for. And perhaps in the end, the greatest mystery of all is not the artifacts they left behind, but the questions they continue to inspire in us. Antikythera mechanism. Imagine diving into the deep blue of the Mediterranean Sea, exploring the wreck of an ancient ship. Among the remnants of broken pottery and weathered wood, you discover something that looks entirely out of place. A small, corroded artifact, a collection of gears and dials as if it came from another world. This object, the Antikythera mechanism, is thought to be over 2,000 years old, yet it seems to function like something from the future. It's as if time itself is bent around this mysterious machine, and the more we learn about it, the more questions arise. How could ancient people with no advanced technology or machinery craft such a complex device? Who could have designed this marvel of engineering, and why? The answers remain hidden beneath the surface, wrapped in a story that continues to baffle historians, scientists, and dreamers alike. As you think about this device, it might remind you of something more familiar: the clocks we use every day. We set them to wake us up, to remind us of important events, and to keep our lives on track. Clocks are simple tools that help us navigate time. But the Antikythera mechanism? It's much more than that. This analog marvel, with its intricate system of gears, was able to predict astronomical events like eclipses and the positions of the planets. It was, in essence, a computer from the past, a machine that could calculate the movements of the heavens with astonishing precision. But how, and why was it created? The more you learn about the Antikythera mechanism, the more your mind races. What would it be like to possess the knowledge to create such an intricate machine? Imagine living in a time when you had no computers, no smartphones, no advanced scientific instruments, yet somehow someone, perhaps a brilliant inventor or an entire group of researchers, designed a device that could track the stars. It was an extraordinary feat of engineering, long before the days of modern technology. Let's take a step back for a moment. Have you ever used an app to check the weather? Or maybe you've used a simple tool, like a calendar, to plan your week. These tools seem so natural, so easy to use, but they are built on complex systems of information and technology. It's hard to imagine that these tools have a long history, stretching back thousands of years. The Antikythera mechanism is a perfect example of how ancient people were not as distant from us as we might think. In fact, it's almost as if they had created their own version of the technology we use today, centuries ahead of its time. But here's the paradox. Despite its remarkable sophistication, the Antikythera mechanism was lost to history for over 2,000 years. It wasn't until 1901, when it was discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, that we began to understand what it was. And even now, after decades of research, we are still unraveling its secrets. What if we could unlock more of these forgotten mysteries? What if ancient civilizations had more knowledge than we realize, and somehow it was lost or overlooked by the pages of history? This brings us to an interesting thought. Think about how you use technology today. You might use your phone for almost everything, from sending messages to checking the news or even calculating simple equations. Technology has become an extension of our daily lives, something we rely on to navigate the world. But how many times do we stop and think about the history of these tools? The Antikythera mechanism is a reminder that even the most complex devices have humble beginnings. It's easy to take modern technology for granted, but the Antikythera mechanism asks us to reflect on the ingenuity of those who came before us. It's also fascinating to consider how the design of this device connects to something even bigger: our desire to understand the universe. The Antikythera mechanism was used to track the movement of celestial bodies, to predict events like eclipses and planetary positions. In a way, it was an early tool for understanding time and space, the very same concepts that still captivate us today, whether it's through astronomy, physics, or even our fascination with space exploration. The human drive to understand the cosmos hasn't changed. We've always looked to the stars, and the Antikythera mechanism is a beautiful testament to that longing. This is where the paradox really begins to emerge. The more we study the mechanism, the more we realize how little we truly know about its creators. Was it a single person or a group of skilled individuals who crafted it? How did they manage to make such precise calculations without the advanced tools we have today? And perhaps the most pressing question of all, why did they create it in the first place? Was it purely for scientific purposes, or did it serve a deeper, more philosophical need? The idea of using gears and wheels to predict the future seems almost magical, like tapping into some hidden truth about the universe. We've all experienced moments where time seems to slip through our fingers. A busy day at work, the rush of preparing for an exam, or even just trying to balance our relationships can leave us feeling like we're chasing something that's always just out of reach. The Antikythera mechanism, in its quiet precision, reminds us that time has always been a force to reckon with. But it also invites us to consider the deeper question of how we understand time and our place in it. Is time something we control, or is it something that controls us? And, more profoundly, what if the ancient Greeks had a better understanding of time than we do today? It's easy to get lost in the details, in the complexity of the machine itself, but the true beauty of the Antikythera mechanism lies in what it represents. It's a symbol of human curiosity and the drive to understand the world around us. It's a reminder that, even in ancient times, people were not simply waiting for technology to come to them. They were actively shaping their world, looking for ways to make sense of the vast mysteries of the universe. They were explorers, thinkers, and creators, just like us. As we think about the Antikythera mechanism, it's natural to feel a sense of awe. But it's also important to recognize the broader lessons it teaches us. It reminds us that knowledge doesn't come in a straight line. It's a winding path, filled with twists and turns, where ideas are lost, rediscovered, and sometimes forgotten. The Antikythera mechanism is a small piece of that journey, a reminder that the past is filled with untold stories waiting to be explored. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever encountered a piece of history that made you wonder how much we still don't know? Or maybe you've had a moment in your own life where time felt like it was slipping away, and you found yourself questioning your place in the grand scheme of things. Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. Let's explore these mysteries together as we continue to learn from the past and look toward the future. After all, who knows what other analog marvels and hidden gems are waiting to be uncovered? Puma Punku. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast plateau in Bolivia, where massive stone platforms stretch before you. These stones, some weighing hundreds of tons, are perfectly cut, their surfaces so smooth they seem almost unnatural. As you run your hand along one of the edges, you realize that these blocks weren't just shaped by any simple tools. There are no signs of iron or other materials that could have been used to carve such precision. How did they do it? The question lingers in your mind, not unlike one of those moments when you can't quite figure out how something in your own life worked out so perfectly, but it did. It's as if there's a deeper mystery beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. How were these blocks shaped? Who built this place and why? This mystery, wrapped up in the ancient site of Pumapunku, is one of the most perplexing in the
world. It seems to defy everything we think we know about ancient civilizations.
When we look at the precision of the stonework, it feels almost like something out of a science fiction movie. These huge, heavy stones are cut with a level of accuracy that even modern tools might struggle to match. And yet, there are no signs of the kind of technology we would expect to see, such as iron tools or advanced machinery. It's as though a force beyond human understanding was at play, one that we simply can't quite explain with the knowledge we have today. Think about this for a moment. When we build something today, we rely on a wide array of technologies, cranes, drills, lasers, and so on. We take these tools for granted because they're part of our everyday lives. They make our work easier, faster, and more precise. Now, imagine building something without any of these tools. How would you even begin to shape a giant stone? What methods could have been used to cut such perfect edges and smooth surfaces? It seems impossible, and yet, Pumapunku stands as a testament to an ancient people who somehow managed to do just that. It's a thought-provoking paradox. We live in an age of incredible technology, and even with all of our advancements, we still marvel at what ancient people were capable of. It makes you question the limits of human ingenuity. How much do we really know about the past? Could there have been techniques lost to time? Methods of working with materials that we've long since forgotten? Or is it possible that the people of Pumapunku had access to technologies that we can't even begin to comprehend? The more you think about it, the more the mystery deepens. Let's say you've just finished a long day at work or school, and you sit down with a cup of tea, reflecting on the events of the day. You might feel a sense of satisfaction from having achieved something, but also a tinge of wonder. How did everything come together? What if one day you could unravel the mysteries of the world in the same way, piece by piece, until the answers all fit together? That's what exploring sites like Pumapunku feels like. Slowly uncovering pieces of an ancient puzzle, each piece leading you closer to a deeper understanding. Pumapunku doesn't just challenge what we know about ancient engineering, it also touches on bigger themes of belief, culture, and human capacity. When you stand in front of these massive stone platforms, you can't help but wonder, what were the people who built this place thinking? Why did they go to such great lengths to create something so perfectly crafted? The site itself seems to suggest that there was a deeper, perhaps even spiritual, purpose behind the stonework. Was it a place of worship, a symbol of power, or something else entirely? And what does that say about our own relationship with the structures and technologies we build today? Are we creating things for practical reasons? Or do we, too, have an underlying belief in something greater that drives us to make our creations more meaningful? This brings us to an important question. How do we approach the unknown in our own lives? We often rely on the tools and knowledge we have at hand to navigate our daily routines. If you've ever tried to solve a problem, whether it's preparing for an exam, managing a busy schedule, or even finding the right words to say to a loved one, you know that you use everything in your toolkit to get through. But what happens when the solutions you rely on don't work? When the answers aren't clear? The mystery of Pumapunku reminds us that there are always limits to what we understand, and sometimes those limits reveal new possibilities. In a way, Pumapunku is a metaphor for life itself. We spend so much time searching for answers, trying to piece together our experiences, and sometimes the answers are just beyond our reach. It's easy to feel frustrated or lost, especially when it seems like we're doing everything right, but the results aren't what we expect. Yet, perhaps the true lesson is in the search itself, the way we continue to ask questions, explore new ideas, and remain open to the unexpected. Maybe that's what the ancient builders of Pumapunku were doing too. They didn't have all the answers, but they had the vision to create something beyond the limits of their time. Let's pause and reflect. Have you ever encountered a situation in your life where you just couldn't understand how something happened? It might have been a moment of pure luck, or a piece of knowledge that seemed to come to you out of nowhere. Maybe you've experienced a sense of awe at the way things aligned perfectly, even when you didn't know how. Puma Punku is a reminder that we are not alone in these feelings. The ancient people who created this site must have shared that same sense of wonder and mystery. They too were working with what they had, using their knowledge and resources to create something that would last far beyond their own time. In this way, the paradox of Puma Punku touches on something we all experience in our lives: the tension between knowledge and mystery. We want to understand, we want to know how things work, but sometimes the answers aren't clear. That's where the beauty lies, in the questions, in the uncertainty, and in the shared journey of discovery. Whether we're looking at ancient, stone platforms or reflecting on our own lives, the mysteries we encounter keep us moving forward, ever curious and ever learning. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever come across a mystery in your own life that made you wonder about the things we don't understand? Maybe you've had a moment when the unexpected happened, and it left you with more questions than answers. Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's dive deeper into these mysteries together, as we continue to explore the unknown and uncover the hidden truths that shape our world. After all, who knows what other ancient wonders, waiting to be discovered, might hold the key to understanding the past and ourselves. Sacsayhuaman walls. Imagine standing before a wall that stretches high into the sky, each stone perfectly placed without a single crack in between. The stones are enormous, yet they fit together so tightly that not even the tiniest sliver of light could slip through. What's even more puzzling is that these massive boulders aren't held together by mortar or any other visible binding material. They simply seem to lock into place as if they were meant to be there in that exact position for all eternity. This is the mystery of the Sacsayhuaman walls in Peru, an ancient structure that has captivated people for centuries. How did they do it? And why does it still seem so impossible to recreate today? When you think about building something, it's natural to imagine using cement, mortar, or some kind of glue to hold everything together. Most of the buildings we see today rely on these materials to ensure their stability. But when it comes to the Sacsayhuaman walls, there's none of that. Instead, the stones, some weighing several tons, fit so perfectly against each other that even after hundreds of years, they remain as solid as the day they were built. It's almost as if they were not stacked or arranged, but rather formed in such a way that they can't be separated. It's easy to feel a sense of awe when standing before these walls, as if you're looking at a living testament to the ingenuity of those who created them. But at the same time, there's a deep mystery at play. How could ancient people without the advanced tools and technology we have today manage to shape and place these stones with such precision? It's a question that leaves us thinking about the limits of human capability. In our own time, we rely on heavy machinery and technology to move massive objects, but these people didn't have cranes or bulldozers. And yet, they managed to move these enormous stones and fit them together perfectly. Let's take a moment to think about the challenges we face today. If you've ever tried to assemble something, whether it's a piece of furniture or a puzzle, you know that it can take a lot of time and patience. You need the right tools, the right instructions, and often help from someone else. Now, imagine having to move a stone that weighs more than a car and then fitting it into place with such precision that not even a hair's width of space is left. It seems impossible, right? And yet, that's what the builders of Sacsayhuaman managed to do. They created a structure that has withstood the test of time, remaining solid and intact even through earthquakes and the wear and tear of centuries. This is where the paradox lies. On one hand, we know that humans are capable of incredible feats of engineering and design. Think about the way we build skyscrapers today, or the way we send rockets into space. We've accomplished so much with the tools and knowledge we have. But on the other hand, there's something uniquely humbling about looking at Sacsayhuaman and realizing that, even with all our modern technology, we still can't quite figure out how the ancients did it. We don't have the same tools, and yet they created something so perfect that it continues to puzzle us. How is it that we, with all our advancements, are still stumped by something so seemingly simple? This mystery invites us to think deeper about the relationship between knowledge, tools, and human potential. In our daily lives, we rely on what we know to get by. We use what's available to us to solve problems, whether that's at work, in school, or in our personal relationships. When faced with a challenge, we instinctively reach for the tools we've been taught to use. But what happens when those tools don't work? What happens when the solution isn't obvious and we're left with more questions than answers? That's what Sacsayhuaman does. It challenges our assumptions and forces us to reconsider what we know about the past and our own capabilities. This challenge also speaks to something deeper, the idea of belief and purpose. Why did the people of Sacsayhuaman go to such great lengths to create a structure so precise and grand? Was it simply for practical reasons, like fortification, or was there a spiritual or cultural purpose behind it? The ancient Inca civilization had a deep connection to the land, to the cosmos, and to the divine. Could these walls have been designed, not just as a physical barrier, but as a representation of something much larger, something beyond the material world? Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever worked on a project, or perhaps been part of something bigger than yourself, where you felt like the effort went beyond just the practical? Maybe you've had a moment when the work you were doing seemed to carry a deeper meaning, a sense of purpose that you couldn't quite explain. It's the same feeling that the Sacsayhuaman walls evoke, the precision, the effort, the seemingly impossible accomplishment. They all speak to something more than just the task at hand. There's a sense that the builders were working with a greater vision in mind, one that we can only begin to understand. In a way, the Sacsayhuaman walls also challenge the way we view time and progress. We often think of human civilization as a steady march forward, with each generation building on the knowledge of the last. But what if, in some ways, the ancients knew things we don't? What if they had methods, techniques, and insights that have been lost to history? The walls of Sacsayhuaman stand as a reminder that progress isn't always linear. Sometimes we discover new things, only to lose them again. Sometimes the past holds answers that the present hasn't yet fully uncovered. The walls also raise a larger question. How much of our own knowledge is temporary? We spend our lives learning, building, and creating, but how much of what we know will last? How much of it will be lost to time, just as the knowledge of the ancient builders of Sacsayhuaman has faded? This paradox is one we all face in our own way. We build our lives, our careers, our relationships, but how much of what we create will stand the test of time? It's a humbling thought, but it also encourages us to think about what truly matters, to focus not just on the things we can build, but on the deeper values that sustain us. As we reflect on the mystery of Sacsayhuaman, we are reminded of the power of questions. There's a beauty in not having all the answers, in sitting with the mystery and allowing it to shape our understanding of the world. It invites us to look beyond the surface and ask bigger questions. What if the past holds lessons we haven't yet learned? What if there's more to the story than we realize? What if the answers are waiting, just beyond our reach, like the stones of Sacsayhuaman, perfectly aligned but still hidden from view? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever come across something in your own life that made you wonder how it was possible? Maybe you've faced a challenge where the solution seemed beyond your grasp, yet somehow you found a way through. Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's explore these mysteries together and continue asking the big questions that shape our lives and our understanding of the world around us. Yonaguni Caves. Imagine walking into a vast underground world, a place so smooth and symmetrical that it feels almost artificial. You stand there in awe, trying to grasp the enormity of what's before you. Enormous caverns with smooth walls and towering pillars carved by what seems like human hands, yet no one knows who made them or why. It's a mystery that's as old as the earth itself. These are the Yonaguni Caves in China, and they have been a source of wonder for decades. Who carved them, and why hide the entrance so carefully? Could there be more to these caves than just an ancient structure? And what does their existence tell us about the hidden stories of our world? When you think of caves, you might picture a natural space formed over millions of years by the slow drip of water, carving through rock and earth. But the Longyou caves are different. These aren't natural formations. They've been shaped with human hands, and they show an uncanny precision that's difficult to comprehend. Each cavern is vast, and the walls are so smooth they almost seem polished. The pillars that rise from the ground are perfectly placed, and the entire structure is so intricate. It's hard to believe it was created without advanced tools. Yet, there's no record of who built them, or even why they might have been built in the first place. No historical accounts, no clear purpose, just the silent testament of their existence, hidden away in the earth. The mystery of the Longyou caves is almost like a puzzle that refuses to be solved. How did ancient people, without modern machinery, carve these enormous spaces with such smooth precision? What kind of tools did they use? And how did they manage to move such large amounts of earth? And why, after all these years, is the entrance so carefully concealed? It's a paradox that challenges everything we know about ancient human capability. We've built our modern cities with cranes, bulldozers, and advanced technology. Yet the ancient builders of the Longyou caves seem to have accomplished something even more impressive with far less. They didn't have the luxury of power tools, but they still managed to create something that feels both impossible and extraordinary. This mystery invites us to reflect on our own perceptions of what's possible. How often do we judge ourselves based on the tools we have available? In our everyday lives, we often feel limited by our resources, whether it's time, money, or knowledge. We look at the challenges ahead and wonder how we'll ever manage to get through them. Yet, the Longyou caves remind us that sometimes the greatest achievements come not from having the most advanced tools, but from being able to think beyond what's in front of us. In the same way, we can achieve amazing things if we allow ourselves to think outside the box, to approach our challenges with patience, and to trust in our own creativity. Have you ever been in a situation where the challenge seemed impossible, yet somehow you managed to figure it out? Maybe it was an exam that felt too difficult, or a project that seemed beyond your capabilities. It's like when we're faced with something new and we feel overwhelmed, but then we take a deep breath and break it down into manageable steps. Slowly, we begin to realize that, despite the odds, we can handle it. That's the kind of determination that the builders of the Longyou caves must have had. With no blueprint and no clear guide, they carved out a space so grand and intricate that it still holds us in awe today. As we think about the purpose of these caves, we're reminded of how our own lives often have hidden depths. Much like the entrance to the Longyou caves, there are parts of ourselves that we keep concealed, whether intentionally or not. Why do we hide certain aspects of ourselves? Sometimes it's because we're unsure of what others might think, or perhaps we're not ready to share certain parts of our story. The caves, in a way, mirror this human tendency to keep things hidden. The builders of the caves, whoever they were, made sure the entrance was concealed, just as we often hide parts of ourselves that we don't want the world to see. What does that secrecy represent? Is it a need for privacy, or is it something more? This hiddenness also connects to our larger understanding of the world. When we think about our history and our place in it, there's so much we don't know. The Longyou caves are just one example of how the past can remain hidden, even from our most advanced technologies and research. How many other ancient mysteries are there, tucked away in corners of the world, that we have yet to discover? What if there are still countless secrets waiting to be uncovered, waiting for us to find the entrance, just as we have with the caves? In our modern world, we are constantly pushing forward, striving for more knowledge, more power, and more success. We sometimes forget that some of the most profound mysteries are not about the things we can control, but about the things that remain hidden. The Longyou caves are a reminder that there's always more to learn, always more to explore. The more we uncover, the more we realize how much there is still to know. And that's part of the beauty of being human. The endless curiosity that drives us to search for answers, even when those answers remain out of reach. This mystery also speaks to something larger within us, the need for connection. When we encounter the unknown, we're not just searching for facts, we're searching for meaning. We want to understand why something exists, who created it, and what it can teach us about ourselves. The Longyou Caves invite us to connect with the past, to imagine the lives of the people who carved those spaces, and to wonder about their motivations. What were they trying to communicate with their creations? What did they hope to achieve, and what did they leave behind for us to discover? As we sit with this mystery, we are reminded of the power of questions. We don't need all the answers to appreciate the beauty and wonder of something like the Longyou Caves. Sometimes, simply asking the right questions is enough to stir our imagination and deepen our understanding. It's like when we're facing our own challenges and we ask ourselves, how can I approach this differently? Or, what am I really trying to achieve here? In those moments, we begin to find new perspectives, new solutions, and new insights. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever encountered something that left you questioning its origins or purpose? Maybe it was a piece of art, a strange tradition, or even a personal experience that didn't quite make sense at the time. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation about the mysteries that shape our world. The Longyou Caves are just one of many stories waiting to be told, and together, we can uncover the hidden meanings that connect us all. Derinkuyu City. Imagine being forced to hide underground, deep beneath the earth, where every wall feels like a barrier between you and the outside world. Now, picture not just a single person, but thousands of people living down there, finding safety and shelter. This isn't some distant dream or a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie. It's a reality that once existed in the heart of Turkey, where an entire city was built underground, so deep that it reached 8 levels down into the rock. This city, known as Derinkuyu, was large enough to house thousands of people and had everything they needed to survive for extended periods of time. But who first tunneled into this rock to create such an elaborate hidden world, and why? The mystery of Derinkuyu City is as intriguing as it is puzzling, leaving us to wonder about the ingenuity of the people who created it and the circumstances that led them to build such a refuge. When you think of underground spaces, your mind might immediately jump to something like a basement or a subway system, dark, cramped, and somewhat uncomfortable. But Derinkuyu City isn't like that. It's a vast labyrinth of tunnels, rooms, and passageways, each one carefully carved out of soft volcanic rock. There are storage areas, stables for animals, kitchens, wells, and even ventilation shafts that allow the air to circulate throughout the entire underground complex. It's a place that could house entire communities, providing everything they needed to survive. But how was such a place constructed? And what inspired the builders to go so deep underground in the first place? To build something like Derinkuyu would require not just remarkable skill, but also a deep understanding of both the material they were working with and the resources at their disposal. And yet, no one knows exactly when or by whom it was built. The city was discovered in the 1960s, but it's believed to date back thousands of years. Some historians speculate that it was created by the Phrygians, while others suggest it was the work of early Christians trying to escape persecution. The fact that no written records exist to explain its origins only adds to the mystery. Who were the people who thought it was necessary to build such an enormous underground city, and how did they do it without the tools and technology we have today? This mysterious underground world makes us think about the extremes people are willing to go to for safety and survival. In our own lives, we often take safety for granted, whether it's the safety of our homes, our relationships, or our communities. But the people who built Derinkuyu didn't have that luxury. They built an entire city beneath the earth because they needed to hide, to protect themselves from something or someone. And what's more, they didn't just build a few rooms or a temporary shelter. They constructed an entire underground network that could support thousands of people for as long as necessary. It makes us reflect on the lengths people will go to when they face danger, and how that danger often leads to incredible feats of human ingenuity. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to live in such a place. The air would be cool, and still the walls would be solid and unyielding, and you would be surrounded by people who are also seeking refuge. The isolation and uncertainty of it would be overwhelming, yet there would also be a sense of safety in the depths of the earth. In many ways, we all build our own Derinkuyus in our minds, creating safe spaces when we feel overwhelmed by the world around us. We retreat into our thoughts, our routines, or even our relationships as a way of protecting ourselves from the pressures of life. But what happens when these safe spaces are no longer enough? What happens when we need to go deeper to find new ways to protect ourselves? The story of Derinkuyu City also touches on something universal: the instinct to protect what we love. In times of crisis, humans have always found creative ways to shield themselves from harm. Just like the builders of Derinkuyu, we often go to great lengths to ensure our safety and well-being, whether it's through our actions, our relationships, or our sense of security. But how do we find balance between seeking protection and embracing the outside world? In a world that constantly changes, where danger and uncertainty often feel close, how do we create a sense of safety without closing ourselves off from the world? There's something beautifully paradoxical about the idea of an underground city, hidden from view, yet so intricate and well-designed. It's almost as if the deeper we go, the more we uncover about ourselves and the world around us. Just as the people of Derinkuyu dug deep into the earth to create something that would protect them, we, too, often dig deep into our own experiences and emotions to create a sense of meaning and safety. But the question remains, can we ever truly hide from the world, or do we simply learn how to live in it with greater awareness? We've all had moments when we've sought shelter, whether it's in a comforting routine, a trusted friend, or even a quiet moment of solitude. But what about when that shelter is no longer enough? When the world feels too overwhelming, too unpredictable? That's when we begin to search for deeper solutions, just as the people of Derinkuyu dug deeper into the earth. The lesson of Derinkuyu City may not just be about the physical space itself, but about the deeper truths we uncover when we look beneath the surface, when we search for answers that go beyond the obvious and the superficial. The idea of living underground for extended periods also brings to mind the emotional and psychological aspects of retreat. When faced with emotional challenges or difficult times in life, many of us find ourselves seeking refuge in our own ways. Sometimes it's in the form of avoiding difficult conversations, retreating from relationships, or withdrawing from situations that make us uncomfortable. But what happens when that retreat becomes permanent? When our underground city becomes a place where we're trapped, rather than a space of safety? It's important to recognize when our need for shelter or protection turns into avoidance. The lesson from Derinkuyu is clear. There's a balance between finding refuge and becoming isolated. As you reflect on this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever faced a situation where you felt like you needed to retreat to a safe space, like the people of Derinkuyu? How did you balance that need for protection with the desire to stay connected to the world around you? Share your experience with us in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation about the ways we build our own safe spaces, both physically and emotionally. The story of Derinkuyu reminds us that no matter how deep we go, we can always learn more about who we are and how we connect to the world around us. Sumerian king list. Imagine reading an ancient document, one that lists the names of rulers, their deeds, and most perplexing of all, their lifespans. The catch? Some of these rulers are said to have lived for thousands of years. A king who reigned for 28,000 years, another for 36,000 years. How is that even possible? At first glance, it sounds like something straight out of a myth, an impossible tale spun to captivate imaginations. But this isn't a story from a fable. It's the Sumerian king list, an ancient record from Mesopotamia that has baffled historians and scholars for centuries. The question we find ourselves asking is simple. Are these numbers the product of myth, or do they hold some kernel of truth, a hidden memory from the past? The Sumerian king list is not just an ancient text, it's a mystery that continues to puzzle those who study history. This tablet, discovered in the ruins of ancient Sumer, lists a series of kings who, according to the records, ruled over the land for incomprehensible amounts of time. Some of these kings were said to have lived for tens of thousands of years, while others lived for only a few hundred. It's hard to wrap our minds around such a thing. We're used to thinking of human lifespans in terms of decades, not millennia. So, what are we to make of these stories? One way to look at the king list is to consider the possibility that these ancient numbers could represent something other than literal years. Maybe they're symbolic, exaggerations meant to emphasize the greatness or divine nature of these rulers. In many ancient cultures, rulers were often thought to be more than just men. They were gods or demigods, beings who existed on a plane beyond that of mere mortals. The idea of a king living for thousands of years may have been a way to express the king's divine connection, his eternal rule, or his unmatched power. In this sense, the numbers might not be meant to be taken literally, but as a way of showing that these rulers were extraordinary, beyond the scope of ordinary human existence. But there's another possibility. What if these rulers did, in some way, live for centuries, perhaps in ways we don't fully understand? Could the ancient Sumerians have had knowledge of something we've long since forgotten? We know that the ancients had a deep understanding of the world around them, from the stars in the sky to the earth beneath their feet. Could they have known something about human biology or the natural world that we don't? Could there have been methods of prolonging life that were lost to time, only to be recorded in cryptic, myth-like terms? This thought invites us to consider the mysteries that still elude us today, things we might be too quick to dismiss as fantasy. This paradox also touches on something much deeper. How do we measure time? In our modern world, time is something we're constantly aware of. We track it with clocks, calendars, and deadlines. We measure the passing of time in minutes and hours, days and years. But what does it truly mean to live for 1,000 years? Is it the length of time that matters, or is it how we spend that time? The idea of a ruler living for thousands of years might seem absurd on the surface, but perhaps it's an invitation to reflect on how we perceive time. In our busy, fast-paced world, we often feel like time is slipping away from us. We worry about the future and regret the past. But how often do we stop to appreciate the present moment? Think about the way we approach relationships, for instance. We often think about how long a relationship will last, measuring it in terms of years or decades. But what truly matters in a relationship? Is it the length of time spent together, or the depth of the connection? It's easy to get caught up in thinking that time is the most important factor, but maybe what matters more is how we live each day, how we make the most of the time we have. The idea of ancient rulers living for thousands of years reminds us that time is a concept we struggle to fully understand and appreciate. It challenges us to reconsider our relationship with time, not just as a measurement of years, but as a gift to be cherished. When we think about the Sumerian king list, we're also prompted to question our beliefs and assumptions. How often do we dismiss things we don't fully understand? The king list challenges us to look beyond the obvious, to question what we think we know. It's a reminder that there is still so much we don't understand about the world. The Sumerians were incredibly advanced for their time, with achievements in mathematics, astronomy, and architecture that still astonish us today. Their king list is a piece of that puzzle, a piece that, while mysterious, offers a window into their worldview. It also brings up the theme of memory and history. How much of what we know is based on what we've been told, and how much of it is based on what we've truly experienced? The king list is a document from a time so far removed from our own that it's hard to grasp its true meaning. What if we're too quick to dismiss it as a myth because it doesn't fit into our current understanding of the world? In a way, the king list challenges us to think about our own historical narratives and the ways in which we might be shaping our own mythologies, stories of our past that are less about what actually happened and more about how we want to understand our place in the world. The mystery of the Sumerian king list also calls to mind the nature of storytelling itself. In every culture, there are stories of great heroes and legendary figures who seem almost too incredible to be true. These stories are passed down through generations shaped by the people who tell them. Over time, the stories grow larger, more fantastical, and more symbolic. Is the king list simply an example of such a story, one that was handed down and expanded upon over the centuries? Or is it a genuine record of a time when kings lived for impossibly long periods? Perhaps it's a little of both, a mix of myth and memory, truth and exaggeration. In many ways, the king list reflects how we tell our own stories, how we balance the line between what is real and what is imagined. At the end of the day, the Sumerian king list reminds us of the importance of mystery in our lives. We often look for clear answers, but sometimes the most profound truths lie in the things we can't fully understand. As you think about the ancient rulers who supposedly lived for thousands of years, I invite you to share your thoughts. Do you think these numbers are myth, memory, or something else entirely? Have you ever encountered something in your own life that felt too strange to explain? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Kensington Rune. Imagine walking through a quiet, wooded area, the kind where the wind rustles through the trees and the ground feels soft beneath your feet. As you wander, something catches your eye. An ancient-looking stone hidden among the yew. Roots of an old tree. You kneel down to inspect it, and to your surprise, you find strange markings carved into its surface. At first, you might think it's a forgotten piece of history, maybe something from a long-gone civilization, but the marks seem to tell a story that doesn't quite fit. This is how the Kensington Rune Stone was discovered in Minnesota, and much like that stone, its existence has sparked more questions than answers. The stone, which dates back to the late 19th century, bears a runic inscription that some claim could be proof of Viking exploration in North America, long before Columbus set sail. The markings on the stone seem to suggest a journey made by Norse explorers in the 14th century, and the message carved into it could be an ancient record of their travels. Yet, despite over a century of investigation, there is still no consensus on its origins. Could it truly be a Viking artifact, or is it something else entirely? And if it is a hoax, who would go to such lengths to create something so convincing? The first time the stone came to light was in 1898, when a Swedish-American farmer named Olof Oman uncovered it while clearing land in the woods near Kensington, Minnesota. The stone's inscription is in runes, an alphabet used by the Norse people. According to the inscription, the stone tells of a party of Norsemen who traveled westward, from the Atlantic Ocean to the interior of North America. The stone also mentions that 6 men were killed during the expedition, and that they left behind this message as a memorial. The discovery of the stone immediately sparked interest, especially among historians and archaeologists. Could this be proof that the Vikings had reached the heart of North America long before other explorers? As fascinating as it sounds, the evidence for the stone's authenticity has been contested for over a century. Some believe the inscriptions are genuine, suggesting that the Vikings did indeed make it to the Americas long before the arrival of Columbus. They point to the stone's unique carvings, the way they seem to align with known Viking symbols, and the oddness of finding such an artifact in a place like Minnesota, an area far removed from any known Viking settlements. But others remain skeptical. The idea of Vikings reaching this part of the world at this specific time seems far-fetched to many. Could the stone have been a hoax, planted by someone seeking attention or attempting to create a connection to a distant past? It's easy to understand why people might lean towards the idea of a hoax. After all, the stone's discovery came at a time when there was great interest in Viking history, and the idea of discovering a Viking presence in America would have been an exciting and sensational story. However, the fact that the stone's runic inscription is so detailed and intricate raises questions. Would someone in the late 19th century have been able to forge such a complex message with so much attention to detail? And if it were a hoax, why would someone go to such lengths to create a stone that would only raise more questions than it answered? The fact that the Kensington Rune Stone continues to spark debate, even a century after its discovery, suggests there's something more to it than just a simple hoax. This mystery invites us to reflect on how we approach the unknown. In our modern world, we tend to be skeptical of anything that doesn't fit neatly into our understanding of history. We rely on scientific evidence, archaeological findings, and historical records to shape our view of the past. But sometimes there are gaps in our knowledge, moments when the past refuses to reveal its secrets. The Kensington Rune Stone is one such mystery. It challenges us to question the stories we tell ourselves about history. How often do we dismiss things that don't fit into our current understanding of the world? The stone forces us to confront the possibility that we don't know everything, that the past might hold surprises waiting to be discovered. In a way, this echoes our everyday lives. We all have experiences and memories that don't fit neatly into the narrative we've constructed for ourselves. Think about relationships, for example. We often tell stories about the people in our lives based on what we know and understand in the moment. But sometimes things happen that don't make sense, things that challenge our perception of those around us. These moments, like the Kensington Rune Stone, force us to question our assumptions. Just as we might wonder whether the stone is a Viking relic or a clever forgery, we might also wonder whether the people and experiences in our lives are what we think they are. The Kensington Rune Stone also raises larger questions about belief and the way we interpret the past. For centuries, humans have been fascinated by the idea of discovering ancient civilizations, lost knowledge, and forgotten histories. The stone, with its mysterious inscriptions, taps into this deep desire to uncover secrets and understand the forces that shape the world we live in today. It reminds us that history is not a fixed, unchanging story. It is constantly evolving, with new discoveries and new perspectives that can alter our understanding of the past. The Rune Stone challenges us to think about how we view history and how our beliefs shape the way we interpret ancient artifacts. In a sense, it shows us how the past is always open to reinterpretation and how we are constantly engaged in the process of uncovering the truth, even when the answers remain elusive. The story of the Kensington Rune Stone also speaks to the power of storytelling itself. Stories have the ability to shape our understanding of the world, to connect us to the past, and to shape our beliefs. Just like the tale of the stone, our personal stories are filled with mystery and meaning. We all carry with us a narrative about who we are, where we come from, and what we believe. But just as the Kensington Rune Stone leaves us questioning its true origin, our own stories are often filled with unknowns and unanswered questions. We may never know the full truth about the stone, just as we may never fully understand all the layers of our own stories. And that's okay. Sometimes, it's the mystery itself that makes the story worth telling. As we ponder the Kensington Rune Stone, I invite you to think about your own experiences with the unknown. Have you ever encountered something that didn't fit your understanding of the world? Something that challenged your beliefs or made you reconsider what you thought you knew? What do you think about the Kensington Rune Stone? Is it evidence of Viking exploration, or is it something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's explore this mystery together, and maybe, just maybe, we'll uncover something new along the way. Voynich manuscript. Imagine coming across an ancient book, its pages filled with beautiful drawings of plants you've never seen before. Some of them look like they could belong to another world, while others are strangely familiar but just off. As you flip through the pages, you notice something else. Written text that doesn't look like any language you've ever encountered. The symbols are so complex and unusual that they seem to dance across the page, refusing to reveal their meaning. This is exactly what the Voynich manuscript presents: a mysterious, uncrackable code filled with unknown plants and strange script that has puzzled historians, cryptographers, and linguists for centuries. The Voynich manuscript is a book unlike any other. It's as though it came from a different time, or even a different dimension altogether. Discovered in the early 20th century by a rare book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich, the manuscript has remained one of the most enigmatic and intriguing artifacts in the world. Its pages contain illustrations of plants, some of which appear to be completely imaginary, while others resemble real plants, though they are depicted in strange and unusual ways. These plants seem to hold the key to something much larger, but the script that accompanies them is entirely unreadable. Despite the efforts of countless cryptographers, linguists, and scholars, the manuscript's code remains unsolved. For decades, people have tried to crack the Voynich manuscript, Some have theorized that it is a work of alchemy, containing secret knowledge about the natural world and the universe. Others have suggested that it could be a medical or botanical text with the illustrations of plants offering clues to hidden remedies or cures. But no one can agree on its meaning, and no one has been able to decipher the mysterious script. Some believe that it's a hoax, created by a clever forger who wanted to deceive future generations. Others think it might be the work of an ancient civilization, whose knowledge was lost to time. But even with the best technology and most brilliant minds at work, the manuscript continues to defy explanation. It's easy to feel frustrated when faced with something that seems impossible to understand. But there's something fascinating about the idea that there are still things in the world that we can't explain. In our modern age, where we have access to vast amounts of information and technology, we often forget that there are mysteries that can't be easily solved. The Voynich manuscript serves as a reminder that there are still things in this world that remain beyond our comprehension. And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes it so special. Think about it. How often do we encounter things in our own lives that don't quite make sense? It could be a relationship, an experience, or even just a moment that lingers in your mind, something that you can't fully grasp or explain. These moments are like the Voynich manuscript in a way. They sit with us, mysterious and unresolved, leaving us to wonder about their meaning. It's human nature to seek answers, to try to make sense of the things we don't understand. But sometimes the search for meaning is just as important as the answer itself. Consider the plants in the manuscript. Some of them resemble real plants, but they have been altered in subtle ways, as though they were drawn through a lens of imagination. Perhaps the artist was trying to convey a deeper meaning or a hidden truth about nature, something that goes beyond the physical appearance of the plants. Maybe the strange way the plants are depicted is a reflection of how we sometimes perceive the world around us. We may think we understand something, but there are always layers that go unseen, things that we don't fully comprehend. Just like the plants in the manuscript, our understanding of the world is often shaped by our own perceptions and biases. In many ways, the Voynich manuscript challenges our understanding of language itself. We're so accustomed to thinking of language as a tool for communication, a way to convey meaning and ideas. But what if the manuscript's script is not meant to be understood in the way we think? What if it's not a code at all, but a work of art, or a form of expression that transcends traditional language? Just as the manuscript's strange plants offer a glimpse into a world beyond our understanding, the script itself could be a reflection of the limitations of language. It reminds us that communication is not always about literal meaning, but about the emotions and ideas that are conveyed through symbols and images. The mystery of the Voynich manuscript also raises questions about belief and knowledge. How do we come to accept certain truths about the world? In the case of the manuscript, we have centuries of scholars, scientists, and cryptographers all trying to crack the code, but none have succeeded. It's easy to assume that knowledge is something that can be found, something that can be unlocked with the right tools or the right approach. But the Voynich manuscript challenges that assumption. It suggests that there may be knowledge that is beyond our reach, things that we will never fully understand, and that can be both humbling and freeing. Sometimes the search for knowledge is as valuable as the knowledge itself. In our daily lives, we often encounter things that are difficult to understand: a challenging exam, a relationship that feels out of sync, or even a change in the weather that catches us off guard. All of these moments remind us that life is full of unknowns. Just like the Voynich manuscript, we can't always control the mysteries that come our way, but we can choose how we approach them. We can choose to let them frustrate us, or we can choose to embrace them as part of the journey. After all, the manuscript's code may never be cracked, but the journey to understand it is what has kept people fascinated for over a century. So, I invite you to think about your own life's mysteries. What are the things that you can't quite figure out? The moments that leave you feeling uncertain or puzzled. And how do you approach those unknowns? Do you try to solve them, or do you let them be? Just like the Voynich manuscript, these mysteries are part of the story of our lives. They shape who we are, how we see the world, and how we relate to the people around us. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's explore these mysteries together and see what we can uncover, whether we ever crack the code or not. Teotihuacan Pyramid. Imagine standing before a massive ancient pyramid, its stones weathered by time, yet still holding a certain kind of power. The air feels different here, heavy with the weight of history and the silence of a forgotten past. The sun casts long shadows across the grounds of a vast city, where once people lived, worked, and thrived, building monuments that reached toward the sky. But now, all that remains are these silent structures. Silent because the people who built them vanished long before the rise of the great Aztec civilization. The city of Teotihuacan, with its mysterious pyramids, stands as a reminder of a lost culture, a civilization that left no written record behind and whose name is still unknown. As we look at the towering pyramids of Teotihuacan, it's easy to be drawn in by their sheer size and the skill it took to build them. These structures, especially the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, stand as testaments to the advanced engineering and architectural knowledge of the people who constructed them. But who were these people? Where did they come from? And why did they disappear without a trace, leaving behind only these monumental works as their legacy? The mystery of Teotihuacan is one that has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. Unlike the Aztecs, who left behind a wealth of records, including codices and oral traditions, the people of Teotihuacan left nothing to explain their rise and fall. There are no written texts, no decipherable language, and no clear explanation of why the city was abandoned around the 7th century AD. Some believe that the people of Teotihuacan were overthrown, while others suggest that environmental factors, such as climate change or resource depletion, played a role in their disappearance. But the truth remains elusive, shrouded in the shadows of these ancient pyramids. Standing before the ruins, it's easy to wonder how such an advanced civilization could simply vanish without a trace. It's a bit like those moments in life, when everything seems to be going well, and then, without warning, things change. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but always leaving us with questions. We've all had experiences like this, right? A relationship that suddenly ends, a job that unexpectedly disappears, or a period of peace in our lives that is interrupted by something we didn't see coming. Just like the people of Teotihuacan, we can sometimes feel like we're standing at the edge of something powerful and unknown, unsure of what's next. The pyramids, though silent, speak to the uncertainty of life, reminding us that even the most solid and enduring things can be fragile, easily swept away by forces we can't control. But what makes Teotihuacan so fascinating is that, despite its mystery, it offers us a glimpse into the potential of human achievement. The people who built the pyramids had a vision, one that was so grand and ambitious that it left a mark on the landscape, even though their civilization did not survive. Today we look at these structures and marvel at their scale and design. The Pyramid of the Sun, for instance, is one of the largest pyramids in the world, and its construction still baffles experts. How did they move such massive stones? How did they build with such precision? It's easy to imagine the immense dedication and ingenuity it must have taken to bring such a vision to life. This sense of ambition and creativity is something that we can all relate to. Think about the goals you've set for yourself, whether it's something as small as organizing your schedule or as big as pursuing a dream career. When you set out to achieve something, it often requires more than just hard work. It requires a vision, a sense of purpose that drives you forward. And sometimes, just like the builders of Teotihuacan, we don't know what's going to happen along the way. The path isn't always clear, and the future is uncertain. But even if we don't always know where our journey will lead, the act of creating something meaningful is what matters most. The pyramids of Teotihuacan are an enduring example of this, an ancient symbol of human determination and the desire to leave a mark on the world. Yet, as we marvel at these monumental structures, we also have to confront the deeper questions that they raise. What does it mean to leave a legacy? And what happens when that legacy is forgotten? In the case of Teotihuacan, the civilization that built these pyramids has no name, no history, and no record of its existence. Just the silent monuments that stand as reminders of their once great civilization. It's as though they were forgotten, their story lost to time. This can feel unsettling, especially in a world where we're constantly concerned with how we will be remembered. Will our efforts be recognized? Will our lives leave an impact on those who come after us? But maybe, in a way, Teotihuacan shows us that the true value of our creations isn't necessarily in how they are remembered. The pyramids didn't need to be recognized by future generations to have meaning. They existed in the moment as a reflection of the people who built them. They were expressions of creativity, resilience, and vision, even if their creators eventually vanished. In our own lives, we may not always receive the recognition we think we deserve, but that doesn't diminish the significance of what we've done. Like the pyramids, our actions, our work, and our dreams have value simply because they are part of the human experience. This brings us to an interesting thought. How often do we focus on the unknowns in our own lives? Just like the people of Teotihuacan, we sometimes find ourselves facing situations with no clear answers. Maybe you're at a crossroads in your career or your personal life, not sure which direction to take. Maybe you're trying to understand a difficult situation or relationship, but the answers aren't coming as easily as you'd like. We've all been there. And just like the disappearance of the Teotihuacan civilization, sometimes the answers aren't clear. But that doesn't mean we're lost. It just means we have the opportunity to learn, grow, and build something new in the process. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever encountered a situation in your life where everything seemed uncertain and you didn't know what would happen next? How did you deal with that uncertainty? Feel free to share your experiences and reflections in the comments below. Let's explore together how, just like the pyramids of Teotihuacan, we can all leave a meaningful mark on the world, even if we don't always know where the journey will take us. Malta Hypogeum. Imagine stepping into a place that seems to be frozen in time, a place so ancient and so mysterious that it feels like it could hold the answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask yet. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, hidden in the island of Malta, lies the Hypogeum, an underground temple that dates back thousands of years. Carved 3 levels deep into solid rock, this ancient structure isn't just a marvel of engineering. It's a place that still holds a profound sense of mystery and wonder, and one of its most striking features isn't just the structure itself, but the incredible way it plays with sound. Its acoustic properties have stunned researchers and thrill visitors even to this day. But who built it? And why does it seem to have been designed with such an intricate understanding of sound, vibration, and space? It's easy to imagine standing in the cool, dimly lit chambers of the Hypogeum, feeling the air around you hum with the resonance of your own voice. The moment you speak, you'll notice something remarkable. The sound seems to linger in the air, almost as though the stone itself is alive, responding to your words. Researchers have found that the acoustics of the Hypogeum are so precise that they appear to have been intentionally crafted to amplify certain sounds, creating an almost otherworldly experience. This wasn't just a place of worship or shelter. It was a place where sound itself became a part of the spiritual experience. And the people who built it must have understood something profound about how sound could affect the mind, the body, and the soul. Think about how we use sound in our everyday lives. We all know how a favorite song can change our mood, or how certain sounds like the ringing of a phone or the hum of an air conditioner can become background noise to our lives. Sound has a way of shaping our experiences, often without us even realizing it. When we're feeling stressed, certain sounds, like the sound of rain or calm music, can help us feel more at ease. On the other hand, loud, jarring noises can make us feel anxious or uncomfortable. In the Hypogeum, the architects and builders seemed to understand this connection between sound and human experience on a level that goes far beyond the simple acoustics of any room we might be familiar with today. The Hypogeum is often compared to other ancient structures, like the Great Pyramids or temples of ancient civilizations, where the use of acoustics was integral to the spiritual rituals and ceremonies that took place within them. But what makes the Hypogeum particularly fascinating is that it wasn't built to just echo or amplify sound. It seems to have been carefully designed to resonate in a way that creates a deeper, almost physical connection with the environment. When you enter one of its chambers and speak, the vibrations seem to reverberate through your body, almost as though you can feel the sound itself. This effect is so striking that visitors often report feeling a sense of heightened awareness or even a kind of spiritual connection while inside the temple. It's as though the very air around them is alive with energy, an energy that was intentionally crafted into space by its creators. But who were these creators? And why did they choose to carve such an intricate temple into the rock, deep below the surface of the earth? The Hypogeum seems to stand as a testament to the ingenuity and vision of its builders, yet its purpose remains shrouded in mystery. Was it a place of ritual or worship designed to connect people with the divine through sound and silence? Was it a burial site, a sanctuary where the dead could be laid to rest in a space that echoed with the sounds of the universe? The truth is, we may never know for sure. What we do know is that this incredible space speaks to a deeper human desire to connect with the world around us, whether it's the natural world, the spiritual world, or even the unseen forces that we may not fully understand. In our own lives, we often seek ways to connect with something greater than ourselves, whether it's through music, prayer, meditation, or simply spending time in nature. We all have moments where we long to feel that sense of deep connection. It's almost like we're trying to tap into something bigger, something that resonates with us on a level beyond our day-to-day experiences. The Hypogeum, with its carefully constructed acoustics, seems to have been built with that same sense of connection in mind. It was a place where sound, space, and the human spirit could come together in a profound way, creating an experience that was both physical and spiritual. As we think about our own search for meaning and connection, it's important to reflect on how we use sound in our lives today. For many of us, music is one of the most powerful tools for creating a sense of connection. Whether it's a favorite song that reminds us of a specific moment in time, or a melody that brings us comfort when we're feeling down. The acoustics of the Hypogeum remind us that sound has the power to move us, to change our mood, and even to alter the way we perceive the world around us. In a sense, we are all looking for that perfect resonance, the moment when everything falls into place, when we feel aligned with our surroundings and our inner selves. The story of the Malta Hypogeum is a reminder that the mysteries of the past can often illuminate the present in surprising ways. We may never fully understand why the builders of the Hypogeum chose to design their temple in such a way, but we can certainly appreciate the lasting impact it has had on our understanding of sound, space, and human experience. Just as we use sound in our own lives to create connection and meaning, the creators of the Hypogeum used it to build a space that connected them to something greater, something that still echoes through the halls of the temple even thousands of years later. What about you? Have you ever experienced a moment where sound had a powerful effect on you? Maybe it was the sound of your favorite song playing at just the right moment, or the calming sound of waves crashing on the shore. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's explore together how sound and space have the power to shape our lives in ways we might not even realize. Karnak stones. Imagine standing in a vast open field, surrounded by rows of towering stones. They rise from the earth like silent sentinels, their forms ancient and weathered by time. As you gaze at them, you can't help but wonder, what are they for? Who placed them there, and why? This is the mystery of the Karnak stones, a site in France where thousands of standing stones stretch across the landscape in long, deliberate rows. Their purpose has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries, with theories ranging from a ritual avenue to an astronomical calendar. But no one really knows for sure. And that's what makes these stones so captivating. They invite us to look deeper, to wonder about the lives of those who came before us, and to ask questions about what we don't understand. The Karnak stones seem to echo with the weight of history. As you walk along their paths, the stones appear to guide you in a way that's almost deliberate, almost intentional. They're not scattered haphazardly, but arranged in carefully planned rows, stretching for miles across the landscape. It's as though these stones were placed with a purpose that remains just out of reach. Some believe the stones were part of an ancient religious or spiritual practice, perhaps marking a path for ceremonies or rituals. Others suggest that the stones were used as an astronomical tool, an ancient calendar to track the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. But the truth is, no one really knows. The people who built the site are long gone, leaving behind only their stones, their mystery, and the silence of the ages. As you consider these ancient stones, think about the ways we use symbols and structures in our own lives today. In modern society, we often surround ourselves with objects or landmarks that hold deep meaning. We use clocks to mark time, calendars to organize our days, and monuments to honor the past. Just as the Karnak stones may have been used to mark time or to serve a spiritual purpose, we too use symbols and structures to help us make sense of our world. We may not be building massive stone monuments, but we still find ways to connect with something larger than ourselves through the things we create and the rituals we perform. Whether it's a tradition, a belief, or even the simple act of marking the passage of time, we are always looking for ways to understand our place in the world. The mystery of the Karnak stones also touches on something deeper about the human experience. In many ways, these stones are a reminder that there are still things we don't understand, things that have eluded us for centuries. This can be both humbling and awe-inspiring. In a world where technology advances rapidly and knowledge seems to grow at an exponential rate, the Karnak stones serve as a reminder that there are still mysteries waiting to be solved. They ask us to think beyond the answers we already have and to embrace the questions that still linger, unanswered. And perhaps that's what makes the stones so powerful. They don't just tell us about the past, they invite us to explore the unknown, to consider the ways that mystery shapes our lives today. Think about the way we approach the unknown in our own lives. When we face something we don't understand, whether it's a problem at work, a difficult relationship, or a personal challenge, we often feel uncertain, even a little lost. But sometimes it's in that uncertainty that we find clarity. Just like the Karnak stones, which have stood the test of time despite the uncertainty surrounding their purpose, we too have the ability to stand strong in the face of mystery. It's a reminder that even when we don't have all the answers, we can still move forward, learn, and grow. In a way, the stones also speak to our deeper need for connection. It's easy to feel isolated in today's fast-paced, often disconnected world. But looking at the Karnak stones, we're reminded of the ways in which people have sought connection throughout history. The stones may have been a way for ancient people to connect with the stars, the earth, or each other. They may have marked a shared belief, a common purpose, or a way to connect with something larger than themselves. And in that way, the stones serve as a testament to the human desire for connection and meaning, a desire that has existed for thousands of years and continues to shape our lives today. So, what can we take away from the mystery of the Karnak? Stones? Perhaps it's the idea that some things are meant to remain mysterious. Maybe, just like these ancient stones, some questions don't have immediate answers, and that's okay. Sometimes the journey of trying to understand is more important than the destination. In our own lives, it's easy to get caught up in seeking answers to every question. But the Karnak stones teach us that there is value in the mystery itself. It's in the searching, the wondering, and the pondering that we find meaning. Just like the stones, which stand tall and silent, offering only their presence to the world, we too can find strength and purpose in the unanswered questions that shape our lives. Have you ever come across something in your life that left you wondering? Something that didn't have a clear answer but still held deep meaning for you? Maybe it was a moment that felt significant, even if you couldn't explain why. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's connect over the mysteries that continue to intrigue us and explore together how the unknown can inspire us to look deeper into our own lives. Easter Island. Imagine standing in front of a towering stone head, its features worn smooth by centuries of wind and rain. Around you, the island stretches out in silence. The ground beneath your feet was once traveled by an entire society. Now, lost to time, you can almost feel the weight of their achievements, the roads they built, the quarries they carved. But the question that lingers, unanswered, is how a society capable of such incredible feats could collapse, leaving only these stone giants as a testament to what once was. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, has long fascinated people around the world, its mysterious history both awe-inspiring and tragic. What happened to the people who built these monumental heads and left their mark on the land? How did they go from creating such a remarkable civilization to disappearing into obscurity? The Moai statues, which are the most famous feature of Easter Island, stand tall and imposing, staring out over the landscape as if guarding the secrets of the past. These statues were carved from volcanic tuff and transported across the island, with incredible effort, a feat that required not just skill, but a sense of unity and purpose. The builders of the Moai were clearly capable of great things, yet today the island is sparsely populated, its former society vanished. What caused such a dramatic change? How did a culture that had once flourished with such ingenuity and resilience collapse so completely? One theory that has been suggested is that the collapse was a result of environmental destruction. Easter Island, isolated in the Pacific Ocean, had limited resources. The people of the island, in their quest to create these massive statues and build their civilization, may have overexploited the land. Deforestation played a significant role in this, as trees were cut down to transport the Moai and clear land for agriculture. As the trees disappeared, the soil became eroded, and the once thriving ecosystem began to break down. Without the trees, the island's ability to produce food and maintain its resources was severely compromised, setting the stage for societal collapse. It's a stark reminder of how easily a delicate balance can be tipped, and how the actions of one generation can have far-reaching consequences for the next. However, there is more to the story than just environmental factors. The decline of Easter Island society also speaks to the complex dynamics of human behavior, politics, and social structures. It's possible that as resources became scarcer, conflict grew among the island's people. Different tribes may have competed for limited land and resources, leading to warfare and societal breakdown. This internal strife could have further weakened the civilization, making it more vulnerable to collapse. It's a scenario that mirrors struggles in many societies, both ancient and modern, where competition for resources and power can lead to division and downfall. But what makes the story of Easter Island even more fascinating is that it serves as a reflection of human nature and our relationship with our environment. The people of Easter Island were not necessarily ignorant of the consequences of their actions. They likely saw the Moai as a means to honor their ancestors, to strengthen their society and spiritual beliefs. In their efforts to build something lasting, they may have inadvertently set the stage for their own undoing. This paradox is something we see repeated throughout history. Civilizations rise through innovation, hard work, and belief in something greater, but they also have the potential to fall when their success outstrips the capacity of the environment or their social systems to support it. The lessons of Easter Island can resonate deeply with us today. We, too, are part of a global community, one that is constantly striving for progress and achievement. Whether it's through technological advancements, the pursuit of economic growth, or the desire to create a better world, we are always pushing the boundaries of what we can accomplish. But just like the people of Easter Island, we must consider the long-term effects of our actions. Every decision we make, no matter how small, can ripple through time, affecting not just our generation, but those that come after us. The collapse of Easter Island's society wasn't inevitable. It was the result of choices made over time, and in that, there's a powerful reminder that we have a responsibility to be mindful of our impact on the world around us. In our own lives, we may not be building monumental statues or clearing vast landscapes for agriculture, but we do make choices every day that shape our future. Whether we're talking about our relationship with nature, how we treat the people around us, or the way we navigate challenges, it's important to remember that even the smallest actions can have a lasting impact. Just as the people of Easter Island left behind their stone heads as a symbol of what they once achieved, we, too, will leave behind something, perhaps not in the form of grand statues, but in the way we live and the legacy we create. The question is, what kind of legacy do we want to leave? What's truly powerful about the story of Easter Island is that it challenges us to think about the nature of progress. It asks us to consider whether progress always leads to a better future, or whether it sometimes comes at a cost. The people of Easter Island were undoubtedly skilled and capable. They achieved something remarkable. But in their drive to leave a mark on the world, they may have overlooked the importance of sustainability and balance. This is a timeless lesson that applies to all of us today. How can we balance progress with care? And how can we ensure that our actions today don't undermine the future we want to create? As you reflect on the story of Easter Island, think about your own life. Are there areas where you might be pushing forward without considering the long-term consequences? Or perhaps there's something in your life you're building, creating, or striving for, and you wonder what legacy it will leave. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's explore how we can all learn from the past and build a future that's both sustainable and meaningful. Sphinx Enigma. Imagine standing at the foot of the Great Sphinx of Giza, its immense stone face staring down at you with an expression of timeless mystery. This guardian, with the body of a lion and the face of a human, has stood for thousands of years, its purpose and origin still shrouded in uncertainty. It's almost as if the Sphinx is waiting for someone, anyone, to finally unlock the enigma it holds. The more we learn about this ancient monument, the more questions arise. What's the real story behind this towering figure? Why was it carved? And what does it truly represent? Some scholars believe that the Sphinx was built by the ancient Egyptians, while others suggest it may be far older than we think. One thing is certain. The Sphinx has captured the imagination of people from all over the world, sparking debate, wonder, and a deep curiosity that hasn't waned for centuries. The most obvious feature of the Sphinx is its scale. This is a massive structure, one that dwarfs the people standing next to it. Its body, shaped like a lion, and its human face, with serene yet slightly mysterious features, seem to serve as guardians of the ancient pyramids. Its location, just outside Cairo, places it at the heart of one of the most iconic archaeological sites in the world. But while we know its location and appearance, much about the Sphinx's creation and purpose remains unknown. Some experts believe it was carved to honor the pharaoh Khafre, whose pyramid stands nearby, but this theory doesn't fully explain its design or the questions that continue to puzzle historians. What really adds to the intrigue is the erosion patterns found on the Sphinx. For years, these patterns have puzzled researchers. The Sphinx appears to have suffered significant water erosion, suggesting that it could be much older than the commonly accepted date of its creation, around 2500 BC. Some have speculated that this erosion could point to a much earlier civilization, perhaps one that predates the ancient Egyptians by thousands of years. This raises a provocative question. If the Sphinx wasn't built by the Egyptians, who could have created it, and why would they leave such a monument behind? The possibility that there might have been an advanced civilization long before the Egyptians raises fascinating yet unsettling possibilities about the true history of human development. The idea of an ancient civilization now lost to time isn't as far-fetched as it may seem. Just think about how many societies throughout history have risen and fallen, leaving behind only the faintest traces of their existence. Some experts believe that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx could be the result of rain and water runoff, something that might not have occurred in the region for thousands of years. This theory challenges our understanding of ancient history suggesting that the Sphinx could have been standing long before the Egyptians began to build their pyramids. If this is true, it would mean that there was once a civilization with knowledge and skills far beyond what we typically associate with early human societies. As we try to unravel the mystery of the Sphinx, we are forced to confront our own assumptions about history and progress. For centuries, we have thought of human civilization as a linear path of advancement, with each generation building on the accomplishments of the last. But what if this idea is incomplete? What if there were once civilizations that were just as advanced as, or even more advanced than, ours, only to be lost to the sands of time? The Sphinx, with its towering presence, may serve as a reminder that our history is not as straightforward as we often think. The past may be far more complex, with civilizations rising and falling in ways we cannot yet fully understand. This mystery also touches on the way we approach knowledge and discovery in the modern world. As we continue to explore and study ancient monuments, we must remember that there is still so much we don't know. There are mysteries buried beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. The Sphinx, like many other ancient wonders, challenges us to keep asking questions and to remain open to new possibilities. It reminds us that no matter how much we think we know, there is always more to learn. In a world where technology and information are rapidly advancing, it can be easy to forget that there are still questions that elude us, questions that stretch back to the very beginnings of human civilization. In many ways, the Sphinx serves as a metaphor for the human condition. We are all, in our own way, guardians of the mysteries in our lives. We may not have monumental statues guarding the entrance to our cities, but we all carry within us questions and uncertainties about the world around us. Just like the Sphinx, we may have answers that remain hidden, waiting for someone to uncover them. Perhaps it's through introspection, deep reflection, or simple curiosity that we begin to uncover these answers. The Sphinx stands as a symbol of both the mystery and the potential for discovery that lies within all of us. As you reflect on the Sphinx, consider the mysteries in your own life. What questions do you carry with you? What mysteries have you yet to uncover? Perhaps, like the Sphinx, you have hidden depths that you have yet to fully explore. The enigma of the Sphinx is not just about ancient history, it's also about the journey of discovery that we are all on, both as individuals and as a society. What does the Sphinx teach us about the nature of knowledge and the importance of looking beyond the surface? It encourages us to keep searching, to remain open to the unknown, and to embrace the mysteries that shape our world. I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the Sphinx really represents? Is it a symbol of an ancient, forgotten civilization, or is it something more? Let's explore this mystery together, and who knows? Maybe the answers are closer than we think. Sea peoples. Imagine waking up to the sound of crashing waves. The sea, normally a calming presence, is suddenly filled with the echoes of foreign ships. You stand on the shore, watching as strange vessels approach, their sails unfamiliar, their people even more so. They don't speak your language, and yet their presence is undeniable. They are here not for trade, not for peace, but for something else, something much darker. These mysterious invaders, known as the Sea Peoples, have left behind only the whispers of their raids in the records of ancient Egypt. Their ships vanished without a trace, and yet their raids continue to echo in the walls of temples and tombs. Who were they? Where did they come from? And why did they seem to appear out of nowhere, only to disappear just as mysteriously? The Sea Peoples have been a source of intrigue for historians and archaeologists for centuries. They are known only through Egyptian records, where they are described as fierce invaders who launched a series of raids against Egypt during the Late Bronze Age. Despite their significant impact, we know very little about them. Their exact origin is a mystery. Some believe they came from the Aegean, others suggest they might have been from the region we now call Turkey, or perhaps even farther. The records, though detailed in some respects, fail to provide any clear answers about their identity. What is most intriguing, however, is the complete absence of their ships. No remnants of these vessels have ever been found, leaving us with little more than speculation about how they traveled across the seas. All that remains are the accounts of their raids etched into the stone of Egyptian monuments. As we look at the records from the Egyptians, we are confronted with the question of how a group of people could make such a profound impact and yet leave so few clues about their existence. This mystery challenges our understanding of history. It's almost as if these people didn't belong to any established civilization, but were a force of nature that appeared and then disappeared with the tides. Why would a group of people attack so decisively and then vanish without leaving a lasting mark on the world? Did they conquer, or were they driven away? And why is it that we are left only with their raids? Raids that seem to have been far-reaching, as if the Sea Peoples were a vast and well-organized group? Their attacks were so effective that the Egyptians recorded them with a mix of fear and respect. The Sea Peoples are depicted as skilled warriors, capable of bringing entire cities to their knees. Yet their identity remains a mystery. Were they motivated by the same desires for power, wealth, or land that have driven countless invaders throughout history? Or was there something else at play, something that we, as modern people, can't fully understand? Their disappearance is equally perplexing. After their raids, they seem to have vanished without leaving any trace of their culture, their ships, or their people. Some believe they were absorbed into other cultures, while others speculate that they simply disappeared due to a combination of natural disasters, famine, or war. Whatever the cause, the Sea Peoples left behind no clear answer, only the lingering question of why they came and what they truly wanted. This mystery is more than just an enigma of ancient history. It touches on themes that are still relevant today, questions of belonging, identity, and the fleeting nature of power. We live in a world where history is often written by the victors, where the stories of those who are lost or forgotten are often overlooked. The Sea Peoples in many ways represent the unknown. Their story is a reminder that, for all our advances in technology and understanding, there are still things that elude us, things that remain hidden beneath the surface, like the ocean waves that conceal what lies below. Just as we may never know where the Sea Peoples came from, we also may never fully understand the motivations and circumstances that led to their raids. The Sea Peoples also serve as a reminder of the impermanence of civilizations. The Egyptians, one of the most powerful empires of their time, were challenged by these mysterious invaders. And yet the Egyptians too eventually fell, their grand cities reduced to ruins, their monuments crumbling into dust. The Sea Peoples, for all their ferocity, did not leave behind lasting empires or monuments to their greatness. Their story, much like ours, is fleeting, a brief moment in the vast sweep of history. This raises an important question. What will we leave behind? In a world that is constantly changing, how can we ensure that the stories of today are not lost in the sands of time? As you reflect on the mystery of the Sea Peoples, consider the moments in your own life that feel just as elusive. Have you ever faced an unknown challenge, something that seemed to come out of nowhere, only to disappear just as quickly? Maybe you've experienced a relationship that started strong, only to fade away without any real explanation. Or perhaps you've faced a personal obstacle that, at the time, seemed insurmountable, only to eventually vanish, leaving you with more questions than answers. In some ways, the Sea Peoples' raids mirror these experiences, events that enter our lives, unexpectedly leave their mark and then vanish, leaving us to wonder why they came and what they meant. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered something or someone in your life that felt like a Sea People moment? A mystery that arrived, left its impression, and then disappeared without explanation? Share your experience in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation together. The Sea Peoples may be lost to history, but their story invites us to reflect on the mysteries that still surround us, the unanswered questions that remain just out of reach. Perhaps like the Sea Peoples, we too will leave behind something that sparks curiosity and wonder in those who come after us. Nan Madol. Imagine standing on the edge of an ancient city surrounded by water. There's no land in sight, only a labyrinth of islands connected by winding canals. Above you, towering stone columns rise like silent sentinels, their weight and presence almost overwhelming. These columns are made from basalt, a dense volcanic rock, and yet there they stand, stacked one on top of another in perfect alignment. The question that lingers in the air is simple, yet profound. How did the people of Nan Madol, an ancient city in Micronesia, transport and stack these massive basalt logs to create such an extraordinary structure? In a time when technology as we know it didn't exist, how did they accomplish what seems impossible? The city of Nan Madol is a place of wonder, a place that feels almost like something from a dream. Comprising more than 90 small islets, this city was built in the middle of a lagoon, surrounded by water and separated by canals. The structures themselves are made of basalt logs, giant stone columns that fit together so perfectly that no mortar was needed to hold them in place. Each of these basalt logs is so large and heavy that it's difficult to imagine how the people of Nan Madol could have transported them from quarries miles away and then stacked them with such precision. It's a mystery that has baffled researchers and historians for years. The question is not just how they did it, but also why. What inspired the people to create such a magnificent city in such an unusual way? One of the biggest mysteries surrounding Nan Madol is how these massive basalt columns were moved in the first place. The logs are not just large, they are enormous, with some weighing several tons. For the people of Nan Madol, who did not have access to cranes, machines, or even basic tools for lifting heavy objects, the task seems nearly impossible. Did they roll the logs across the land? Did they somehow float them across the water on rafts? And how did they stack them so high, one on top of another, to create these towering walls? The answers to these questions remain elusive, but it's clear that the people who built Nan Madol possessed incredible ingenuity and resourcefulness. One possible explanation is that they used the natural environment to their advantage. The island's proximity to the sea may have made it easier to transport the basalt columns by water. Perhaps they floated the logs on rafts, using ropes and pulleys to move them from one place to another. Once the logs were in place, they could have used a system of ramps or levers to stack them. The people of Nan Madol may have had a deep understanding of the forces of nature, how to use water, wind, and the tides to their benefit. It's possible that their knowledge of these natural elements allowed them to accomplish something that seems impossible by modern standards. But why go to all this trouble to build such an elaborate city? What was the purpose of Nan Madol, and why was it constructed in such a remote and challenging location? Some historians believe that Nan Madol was a center of power, a place where the ruling elite of the island could exert control over the surrounding region. The city may have been a symbol of power, an impressive display of strength and resources that would have struck awe into anyone who saw it. Other theories suggest that Nan Madol was a spiritual center, a place where important rituals and ceremonies took place. The fact that the city is made up of small islets connected by canals gives it a sense of isolation and mystery, as if it were a sacred place, separate from the rest of the world. As we think about Nan Madol, it's easy to become lost in the details of how such a city was built. But there's something even more fascinating to consider: the people who built it. Who were they? What motivated them to create such an extraordinary place? The fact that Nan Madol exists at all is a testament to the creativity and resourcefulness of the people who built it. It shows us that humans, no matter their circumstances, have an incredible capacity for innovation and problem-solving. The people of Nan Madol faced challenges that we can only imagine, yet they managed to build a city that has lasted for centuries, despite the passage of time. In a way, the mystery of Nan Madol speaks to something we all share: a desire to create, to leave a mark on the world. Whether we're building a city, writing a story, or simply trying to make sense of our own lives, we all seek to leave behind something meaningful. The people of Nan Madol may have been driven by their own desire to create something lasting, something that would stand the test of time, and in that they succeeded. Their city, though largely forgotten for centuries, still stands today as a symbol of human ingenuity and determination. Perhaps, as we reflect on Nan Madol, we can think about our own lives. Have we ever faced a challenge that seemed insurmountable, only to find a way to overcome it? Have we ever created something, whether it's a piece of art, a relationship, or even a moment of kindness, that made a lasting impact on the world around us? Like the people of Nan Madol, we may not always know the full scope of our actions, but we can take comfort in the knowledge that the things we create, no matter how small, can have an impact that lasts far beyond our own lifetimes. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered a challenge that required creativity and perseverance to overcome? What did you learn from that experience? Share your story in the comments below, and let's continue this conversation. The mystery of Nan Madol may never be fully solved, but it offers us an opportunity to reflect on our own potential for creativity and resilience. Baigong Pipes. Imagine walking through a barren desert where the air feels heavy and the ground beneath you is cracked from the intense sun. Amidst this desolate landscape, you stumble upon something unexpected. Rusty tubes sticking out of the earth like strange relics from another time. These aren't just any tubes. They are neatly aligned, some extending deep into the ground, others poking out from the mountain's face. Their rusted appearance suggests they've been there for centuries, yet no one can quite agree on where they came from or what they were used for. Could these be ancient plumbing systems left behind by an advanced civilization? Or are they simply natural formations that, over time, have taken on an unnatural shape? The mystery of the Baigong Pipes has baffled scientists, historians, and curious minds for years. It's a puzzle that raises more questions than answers. The Baigong Pipes, located in China's remote desert mountains, have been the subject of much debate since their discovery. Some believe these tubes are remnants of a sophisticated plumbing system, potentially left behind by an unknown civilization that lived in the area thousands of years ago. The idea of ancient plumbing is intriguing, isn't it? After all, we often associate such technology with modern civilizations, but what if ancient cultures had the same innovations? Could these pipes be evidence of a civilization far ahead of its time? Or is there a simpler explanation, something that can be explained through the forces of nature? To help illustrate this mystery, let's consider something we all know: water pipes in our homes. We rely on plumbing to bring fresh water into our houses and carry away waste. But imagine if, one day, the pipes stopped working and future generations found these old pipes, still in place but no longer in use. Would they be able to figure out how they worked? Would they assume the pipes were used for something entirely different? Or would they wonder if there was a more complex system in place, long forgotten? This is where the Baigong Pipes become fascinating. They present us with the question of how ancient systems might have functioned and whether we can understand them fully based on the remnants left behind. The main mystery surrounding the Baigong Pipes is their origin. Scientists have long debated whether the pipes are natural or man-made. Some believe that the pipes are simply a geological formation, where mineral deposits have accumulated over time, creating the appearance of tubes. The theory goes that the minerals, over millions of years, could have formed naturally into shapes that resemble pipes. Others, however, point to the way the pipes seem to be intentionally placed, aligned in such a way that it doesn't feel like a random natural occurrence. If they were indeed man-made, what purpose did they serve? Could they have been part of a complex system for gathering or transporting water? Or perhaps they were part of something much grander, a system we can only imagine today. It's easy to get caught up in the mystery of the Baigong Pipes, but let's step back for a moment and think about how this paradox affects us on a deeper level. We live in a time where we are surrounded by technology. Our homes are filled with plumbing, electronics, and gadgets that make life easier. And yet, we're also living in a world where ancient technologies, like these pipes, still remain a mystery. How do we reconcile our modern understanding of the world with the unknowns that still exist? It's a paradox that exists not just in the realm of archaeology, but in our everyday lives. Think about it. When we encounter something we don't fully understand, our first instinct is often to make sense of it. We want to fit it into a box, categorize it, and explain it away. The Baigong Pipes challenge this instinct. They remind us that not everything can be easily understood, even with all the knowledge and technology we have today. There are mysteries that are beyond our current grasp, and perhaps they are meant to remain that way. In a way, this paradox reflects something deeply human: the desire to understand the unknown, but also the realization that some things may always remain just out of reach. In our everyday lives, we encounter similar moments. We face challenges and situations where the answers aren't clear, and we have to rely on our instincts, creativity, and patience to figure them out. Whether it's navigating a difficult relationship, tackling a tough project at work, or simply trying to understand why something isn't going right in our day-to-day lives, there are moments when we simply don't have all the answers, and that's okay. Sometimes, like the mystery of the Baigong Pipes, the answers aren't what matter most. What matters is how we engage with the mystery itself, the curiosity, the wonder, and the patience to keep searching for answers. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered something in your life that you couldn't quite explain? Maybe it was a moment of serendipity, a strange occurrence, or even just a question that lingered in your mind for days. How did you respond to that feeling of mystery? Did you try to find answers, or did you embrace the unknown? Share your story in the comments below, and let's explore these mysteries together. The Baigong Pipes may never give up all their secrets, but in contemplating them, we can find something greater, a reminder that life itself is full of mysteries worth exploring, even when the answers are beyond our reach. Valley Kings. Imagine standing in the shadow of one of the most famous places in the world, Egypt's Valley of the Kings. The air is dry, and the earth beneath your feet is ancient, holding the secrets of long-lost civilizations. As you gaze upon the towering cliffs, you know that just beyond the rocks, hidden deep within the earth, are tombs that have been sealed for millennia. What lies behind those sealed doors? What treasures, or perhaps curses, are locked away in the darkness? We've all heard stories of ancient treasures, secret chambers, and mysterious curses, but the Valley of the Kings holds a unique promise, a promise of discovery and danger, of wealth and mystery, all trapped beneath the sands of time. The Valley of the Kings is famous for being the final resting place of many of Egypt's pharaohs and nobles. These tombs, carved into the desert cliffs, have offered some of the most spectacular treasures ever discovered: gold, jewels, and relics of a lost civilization. But what many don't realize is that there are still hidden tombs in the valley that remain untouched, sealed off from the world. These tombs have been left behind, their doors still locked, their contents unknown. Some wonder what is hidden inside, perhaps more treasures waiting to be unearthed, or perhaps something more sinister, a curse waiting to be released. The idea of sealed doors, left undisturbed for thousands of years, carries an air of mystery and fascination. It's as if these tombs are waiting for someone to uncover their secrets. But at what cost? The stories of these tombs are full of intrigue. Archaeologists and explorers have long been drawn to the valley, seeking to uncover its hidden riches. But many of those who have attempted to enter the tombs have been met with obstacles, some natural, some seemingly supernatural. Stories of curses have long surrounded the valley, tales of those who ventured too deep into the tombs, only to face mysterious and untimely deaths. The most famous of these stories is the curse of King Tutankhamun's tomb. When the tomb was opened in 1922, a number of those involved in the discovery died under strange circumstances, leading to whispers that a curse had been unleashed. While modern science suggests that there is no real evidence for such a curse, the mystery and fear surrounding the tombs remain part of their allure. But beyond the stories of curses, there is another, more profound mystery. What is it that causes us to be so drawn to the unknown? Why do we feel the need to uncover the secrets of the past, even when we know that some of these discoveries may be dangerous or unsettling? Perhaps it's the same reason we're fascinated by the unknown in our own lives. We all encounter moments where we feel like there's something hidden just beneath the surface, something waiting to be discovered, whether it's a secret in our own relationships, an unresolved question at work, or an unspoken truth about ourselves. We all experience moments where we feel like we're standing before a sealed door, wondering what lies behind it. In our everyday lives, we often find ourselves facing these sealed doors, unsure of what might happen if we open them. The unknown can be intimidating, even overwhelming, but it can also be full of possibility. Just as the tombs in the Valley of the Kings may contain treasures or dangers, the mysteries in our own lives can hold surprises, both good and bad. How we choose to approach these mysteries can shape our journey. Do we face them head-on, hoping for the best, or do we hesitate, fearing what might be on the other side? Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Is there a door you've been afraid to open? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, or a decision you've been putting off. Just like the explorers in the Valley of the Kings, you may feel the pull to uncover what lies beyond, but there's always that lingering fear of the unknown. Yet sometimes, it's in those moments of uncertainty that we find the most profound discoveries, not just about the world around us, but about ourselves. The paradox of the Valley of the Kings, with its mix of danger and allure, is a perfect metaphor for the mysteries we all face. It's a reminder that, while the unknown can be intimidating, it's also a part of life. We can choose to shy away from it, letting the mystery remain sealed, or we can step forward with courage, knowing that even if we don't fully understand what lies ahead, the journey itself is worth it. Now think about the last time you faced something unknown. It could be something big, like a change in your life, or something small, like trying something new. How did it feel to stand before that sealed door, wondering what was on the other side? Did you open it, or did you hesitate? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences in the comments below. Maybe you've faced something similar to the tombs of the Valley of the Kings, a mystery that beckoned you forward. Or perhaps you've chosen to leave certain doors unopened, unsure of what lies beyond. Whatever your experience, I think we can all relate to the feeling of standing before the unknown and wondering what it holds. The Valley of the Kings may be a physical place, but its mysteries speak to something much deeper within us. It reminds us that life is full of hidden treasures, but also hidden risks. Every sealed door, every unknown path, holds the potential for discovery, whether it's in the form of riches, knowledge, or personal growth. And while not every door will lead to the answers we seek, each one offers a new chapter in our story. So as you think about the mysteries of the past, remember that the greatest discoveries often come when we have the courage to face the unknown. Whether it's in the ancient tombs of Egypt or in the uncharted corners of our own lives, there's always something waiting to be uncovered. Copper scroll. Imagine you've come across a treasure map, not drawn on paper, but etched into a piece of metal. A map that holds the promise of unimaginable riches, gold, silver, and treasures beyond your wildest dreams. Now, imagine that this map has been hidden for centuries, tucked away in a place where only a few have ever dared to seek it out. This is the Copper Scroll, a mysterious and ancient treasure map discovered in the heart of Jerusalem. It's a map that speaks of wealth, adventure, and mystery. Yet, for all its promise, the treasures it describes remain elusive, undiscovered, and for now, just a tantalizing secret. The Copper Scroll is unlike any other artifact. Discovered in the 1950s among the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's a unique metal document etched with detailed descriptions of locations, each one supposedly hiding vast amounts of gold and silver. Over time, it's become one of the most sought-after puzzles in the world. However, despite numerous attempts by archaeologists, adventurers, and treasure hunters, none of the treasures described on the scroll have ever been found. It's as if the map is mocking its seekers, offering them just enough information to keep them looking, but never enough to find the treasure. This paradox, treasures that seem just out of reach, is what makes the Copper Scroll such an enduring mystery. It's the kind of mystery that captures the imagination, urging us to believe that the answer is just one step away, yet always just beyond our grasp. The story of the Copper Scroll brings to mind something that we all experience in life, moments where we feel on the verge of finding something we've been searching for, only to have it slip away. It could be something as small as a misplaced object, or something much larger, like an opportunity that seems just out of reach. The Copper Scroll invites us to think about this paradox of the near miss, the sense that we are so close, yet so far from the goal. Think of the last time you worked hard for something, only to find that despite your best efforts, it eluded you. Maybe it was a promotion at work, or a goal you've been striving toward for years. You can almost taste the success, but it slips away just when you think you've got it. It's a feeling that's both frustrating and familiar, isn't it? We've all been there, and it's in these moments that we can relate to the seekers of the Copper Scroll, who, for all their work, have yet to unlock its secrets. What's even more fascinating is how the Copper Scroll speaks to something deeper within us, the human drive to uncover hidden things, whether it's hidden treasure, lost knowledge, or even the mysteries within ourselves. We are constantly seeking answers to questions we don't yet understand. Sometimes it's not just the treasure itself that we're after, but the journey, the process of searching. After all, life is full of mysteries, things that we don't understand, that we may never fully grasp, but that we still feel compelled to pursue. And perhaps it's that pursuit, rather than the treasure, that matters the most. It's the hope, the curiosity, the belief that something is waiting to be discovered just beyond the horizon. The Copper Scroll represents this universal desire to find something hidden, to solve the mystery, to understand the unknown. In our everyday lives, we often encounter situations that mirror the challenge of the Copper Scroll. For example, think about a difficult exam or a project at work. At the beginning, it seems like a puzzle that you can solve. The information is there, the clues are there, but as you work through it, you realize that something is missing. Maybe you study hard, search for answers, but when the moment of truth comes, the result isn't what you expected. Despite your effort, the treasure, the knowledge, the success seems to remain just out of reach. The feeling can be disheartening, but it also teaches us something important. Sometimes, the process of seeking is just as valuable as the goal itself. Like the explorers who search for the treasures of the Copper Scroll, we are often shaped by the search, not just by the discovery. The Copper Scroll also connects to a deeper philosophical question. What do we do when we're faced with an unsolved mystery? When the treasure remains hidden and the clues seem to lead nowhere, do we give up, or do we continue to search? The temptation to abandon our search is strong, especially when the results are unclear, but the act of searching itself carries a certain kind of meaning. Think of the way that people keep pushing forward in the face of uncertainty, whether in their personal lives, careers, or even in science. The pursuit of knowledge, the desire to uncover truth, is a part of what it means to be human. The Copper Scroll, with all its hidden riches, speaks to that part of us that refuses to stop searching, no matter how elusive the answers may seem. The idea of a hidden treasure also touches on the way we relate to each other. It's easy to think of treasure in terms of material wealth, but there are other kinds of treasures in life, relationships, memories, experiences, that we may not always recognize or fully appreciate until much later. Just as the Copper Scroll promises treasure but never delivers, sometimes the most valuable things in our lives are the ones we don't recognize until we look back. Think about a time when something or someone was right in front of you, but you didn't realize its worth until much later. It could be a moment, a conversation, or a decision that seemed insignificant at the time but turned out to be deeply meaningful. As we reflect on the Copper Scroll and the treasure it promises, we realize that the search for something hidden is an essential part of life. Whether it's a literal treasure, a goal, or even a deeper understanding of ourselves, the act of searching is what gives life meaning. Sometimes the treasures we seek are not found in the places we expect, and sometimes they remain hidden for a long time. But perhaps it's the act of seeking, the journey of discovery, that brings the greatest reward. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered a mystery in your life that seemed to hold the promise of something great but eluded you? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's explore this journey of seeking and discovering together as we continue to search for the treasures in our own lives.